Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our show tonight, Royce in the House live podcast with my special co-host, Lou Mars. Lou Mars
Hello.
is a drummer's drummer. He's won numerous awards. I put a link up on the book that he's just written. I put a link up on his music and instructions and other things he does, bio, and all that stuff is already up above us in the chat. I want to say thank you to Maria and Gloria for showing up, and I want to do a couple of shout outs to some of my other friends that showed up. Michael Nolan, The Bottom Line. He's got a great show. He does a really good job. Have you heard of him, Lou?
I have heard his name. Yes.
Oh, you have?
So
yeah. I've been watching. He's been doing kind of a Led Zeppelin series lately. And
I don't nod for nothing.
I'm going to watch all of them. I've gone through some of them now, and he does a really good job going through these things. Very
I haven't
articulate.
seen it. I've heard of him. I recognize the name.
Okay, and then Robert Rowe, the Rock and Roll Podcast. He's got a new show called Black Spinner Podcast, and that's going to be airing Wednesday night at let's see, I wrote it down here. Yeah, 7 p.m. Central Time. Okay, Robert Rowe's Black Spinners. Okay, so anyway, so a couple of other shout outs. Caitlin's Corner, my friend Caitlin. Michael McVeigh, vocalist. They're finishing up an album, Blackbird Rain. I'm really excited to see it. Jason Herndon, he's got Kiss My Collectibles, a Kiss podcast, as well as Kiss My Wax record plan. He actually produces records. They're doing a new Slaughter box set right now. And all of the album covers are autographed by the three surviving members of Slaughter. So that's going to be really cool. So we've got several people we're giving shout outs to, and we appreciate all of them. We've got, let's see, we've got Pat Lucero, the THEE Wizard's Lair. He sells albums, and he grew up with Mark Slaughter in Las Vegas, where I grew up.
Right on.
He's a lot of help putting together those albums and stuff that they're producing right now. So anyway, those are some shout outs. I said Caitlin's Corner. And that's it. We're going to get busy here with our friend Lou Mars. Lou, what do you got to say for yourself, buddy?
Oh, man. You told me. I said, the subject is what? What? Yeah. You know, I've been in a couple of these.
The subject is you.
Well, the subject, the subject's drummers and the celebration of great drummers and great drumming. Mm-hmm. That's what the cell, and I'm honored to be here to even talking about. Yeah, right. That's what it's about. I'm just a lucky guy to be part of the whole thing. And I have to say, many of the drummers we are going to talk about tonight are the reason I play drums. They inspire me so much that I had to do that. I was like, I got to do that. Really, just turns me on more than anything else. When I watch a band, maybe you watch the vocalist, I watch the drummer. I just love those guys.
Right. And I do similar things too. There are times when I just might want to try to focus on just the drums, nothing but the drums. I'm just trying to hear just the drums. And I do the same thing with the bass a lot, because to me, you've got, the drummers. The drummers are like, to me, especially the drummers are like the unsung heroes on the band. You got the vocalists and the guitar players all out front, and you're in the back driving the beat. And they couldn't do it without you. I mean, you're like the you're like the heart and soul of the band.
Well, right off the bat. First off, because I'm going to be biased on all this, but I'm going to tell some of the people out there, I'm a front man too. So I'm on guitar in front of bands, so I know what it's like to be on. And I got to tell you, you realize why the singers used to yell at you when you're up front. It's like, you're stopping on my vocal. You're playing too quick. Those make big differences when you're up there on that front line. But,
I got you.
As Buddy Rich said, he was quoted a long time ago, and I'm not going to do the exact quote, but he did mention that, you take a great drummer and put him in an average band, and they become great. And it makes that much of a difference. It really does.
Oh, yeah. No. I couldn't agree more. I love just focusing on the drums. Yeah, Michael Nolan just said, Michael Nolan from The Bottom Line said, as a bassist, the drummer is the music.
Woo! Wow, from a bass player.
No, I'm sorry. The drummer is a must. I'm sorry, I misread it.
But yeah, well, I'm going to counter that great comment from the bassist by I have to say the best bands I've ever been in had amazing bass players. Amazing. And I'm not talking a guitar player that had to go on bass. I'm talking a bass player. Oh my gosh. And when those guys, when they're on and you got a drummer like me playing with them, because I know how to work with those guys, we want to work together. It's magic. It's you can miss a note, nobody hears it because he's so on, and same thing. And that means you can take risk. And then you're both in the pocket. It's a machine, and the crowd feels it. It's just I got excited. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I've always loved the bass. I've always been a big fan of the bass. In fact, when I had my '56 Chevy Nomad, I put 700 watts of power amp in it. I had a bass knob. On the ground, on the roll part, on the floor between the seats. I had a bass knob. And I would pull up next to a plate glass window and roll that thing up, and you could watch those windows. Yeah, I mean, it was like it would be a defibrillator if you needed it. It's second as a
I'm right with you.
That thing could start hearts, I swear to you. That's one of the reasons why I love soul music so much. 67, 68.
Ooh, yeah.
It even got into rap because it was so hard sometimes to hear the bass in the other bands.
Well, yeah, it's so important. I mean, the garage bands I was back in as a teenager, the bass players would play so loud because back then it was all about moving air. We didn't have these small little cabinets like today. Your guitar player would come in on the garage with a half stack or a full stack Marshall. The basses would have remember the Serwin Vegas? Big old 18, 20. Oh my God. That's when he had big Serwin Vegas. That was for practice. The light bulbs, I kid you not, would unscrew. They would vibrate back. The lights would start turning off.
Well, it was like a good day. I want to mention to the chat, Lou's in his van. He's going cross country. And I told everybody he was going to be in New Orleans. He's actually in Palm Beach, Florida. He's already been through New Orleans.
I was in New Orleans 2 nights ago. I just arrived in West Palm Beach. I was just in the bar. I'm sober. Enough for the conversation. But I'm here to check out the music scene again. I was here a year ago, and just love being here. Florida's a great place. Every state's got something.
I could live there. In fact, we may live there in a couple of years. Well, back to the drum thing. So we had a little conversation before we came on that I want to share with the listeners, and it was me up on a little bit of a rant, but I'm gonna keep it short. And here's my rant, people. A lot of times, and first off, I'm going to say what I appreciate. I appreciate that we drummers are put against each other in drum offs. I mean, how many times did you hear a guitar off or a vocal off? You kind of have the voice nowadays. Not like drum offs, man. No. Did you see the epic Gene Krupa versus Buddy Rich drum off? Right? Those are drum off. They were war. You sat right next to the guy and you tried to destroy him, right? But you don't do that. No other instrument is really like that, right? And then there's Battle of the Bands. And then now we've got all this, who is the greatest drummer? And what I like about what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the greatest drummers. We may not necessarily rank them because as I use the metaphor, can you imagine going to an art gallery and there's Picasso and Van Gogh and you say, who's number one? And of course, the person that doesn't get abstract says, I don't see it. What's the issue? It's the same thing with drumming. I think what's more important is we kind of dissect maybe today of what makes a great drummer and what attracts you. What do you think a great drummer is? Right.
And that's what I think where we can really add to these conversations. Where the people
and there's a lot of unsung heroes in the drum world too.
I'm going to step up and defend somebody that nobody defends today.
I think I know. I was going to bring him up. Too. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Are we going to do him now or should we wait?
Well, we can go ahead and do it now. Yeah.
All right. Are you thinking the same guy? I'm thinking Ringo Starr.
I'm thinking Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr, man. He gets beat up more than any drummer.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of the earlier.
Does he not?
Earlier albums, people had to sit in the studio and play for him. But that was a long time ago. A long time ago.
Okay. I believe that was Ralph McDonald, maybe, who was a drummer from George Benson who did that. Maybe. Michael McDonald, something like that. Hey, Ralph McDonald, who's a really good drummer. But first off, that was toward the end too, guys. That was toward the end. So here's the thing. Here's my first thing for Ringo, though. And I hope, Ringo, if you're out there, you never know. Because Nick was even on my little fan. You might listen. Yeah, Yoko added me on Twitter years ago. I was like, what? Who? Yoko added me.
You're kidding me.
Like, no, after my first record thing, she added me on Twitter. I was like, so awesome.
Yoko Ono added you. That's crazy.
Yoko Ono. I know. Now I don't have that account anymore. I'm so bummed. Anyways, Ringo Starr. So let's start with Ringo. First off, the big thing about Ringo is prior to Ringo Starr, there really wasn't a rock drummer. Okay, a rock drummer. We had Buddy Rich, badass jazz. We had Gene Krupa doing the big band up front. And yeah, they even did some arcing and stuff. But man, when that TV came on and you saw the Beatles play, that dude back there playing like this, shaking, that was a rock drummer. That was the first rock drummer you saw. That was a rock drummer, and he's the first rock drummer. He's the first rock drummer. That is worth gold right there. That's true. And he created rock drumming. You could actually argue that. Now, number two, he's playing in one of the greatest bands of all time, arguably. One of the greatest bands of all time.
Hey, Lou,
the Beatles or not? Yeah, go ahead.
I need you to say hi to Linda Foster. She just
Linda
came in the chat.
Yeah, I can't see the chat, guys. So
I know.
He's going to feed it.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda. Linda's a sweetheart. She was in the last show. She messaged me. I actually answer messages, people. I may not be quick.
I saw that. Totally cool. I'm sorry. I didn't want to go ahead.
Oh, no. Oh, you won't stop me on this. No, Ringo, he's in one of the greatest bands of the world. That's number two. So people say, well, he's no good. Do you really think a drummer in one of the greatest bands in the world sucks? Really? Come on.
Yeah,
there's number two.
So.
Really? Okay, now the creative drum beats. The guy takes a bossa nova and puts it in Ticket to Ride. Boom, bop, boom, 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 boom. It's a bossa nova in a rock song. Who does that? Ringo. So last one to make this short. Of why? And there's a B as well. He dealt with John Lennon and Paul McCartney in the recording studio. Can you imagine? That's why they brought a drummer, and he got pissed and was like walked out. Can you imagine? I heard Paul McCartney like does 100 takes and stuff. You'd be like, "Oh, really?" Back then, because they don't overdub back then. They had like 2 little 4 tracks. Oh, I forgot. Don't forget George Martin put him in the band because Pete Best wasn't good enough. And at the time, he was known as the best drummer in that area of Liverpool. Ringo Starr was the best drummer. Yes, George Martin, one of the greatest producers. And I'll tell you something I know about producers being a studio drummer. They don't put shit in a band. They don't bring somebody in that can't cut it. They get the best dude they possibly can because they want that done, right? It represents them. So George Martin.
I got to do a quick shout out to my dear friend, and she has a tremendous podcast also, Rachel's Music Ma'am, M-A-M.
Oh, right
Rachel's Music Ma'am live stream. And Rachel, this is Lou Mars, drummer extraordinaire, winner of all kinds of contests and drum offs.
Holster that gun. Woo.
Now you don't have to take my word for it.
That's all it takes right there. Part juggler, Sometimes it is. Oh, my. And you do know, though, speaking of drummers, too, another aspect. So what we just talked about, though, right there was that there was a drummer that was not only good, but he changed how we play drums. He changed how we play drums, period. Now, does that mean he's the best or the worst? Well, that's pretty darn important that he influenced. And I'll tell you what, I was one of the kids that I saw it after. I'm old, but not that old. But I did see a lot of stuff. I saw the Ed Sullivan Show. When I first saw that, I was blown away. And any of you guys around our ages, you were blown away. All we had seen before that was Elvis, the Crickets, Buddy Holly. It was one person up front, right?
Right.
You didn't get this. And before that, you had Gene Krupa and Buddy occasionally, but you never saw a band. And that was the rock drummer of a band. So anyway, enough about Ringo. Ringo, we love you.
Yeah, we love
anybody
Ringo.
who says you suck doesn't know what they're talking about.
Oh, no. Ringo's so iconic right now. I saw him on TV, and it was his show, his concert. And Paul McCartney was there. And Ringo invited him up on stage to sing with him and stuff. And I tell you, Ringo sounded better than Paul McCartney.
Oh, Ringo's solo album, when the Beatles broke up, outsold the other Beatles. A lot of people don't know that. The theory behind it is because he was smart enough that he invited all the Beatles separately into the studio on his album. It was the only one with all the Beatles. So people bought that one the most. Brilliant. Yeah. That's smart man, smart businessman.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
that's definitely it. And by the way, his son, Zach, of all the drum royalty, can you imagine being the son of John Bonham or the son of Zach? I mean, it's like being Julian Lennon, it's got to be hell. What? You can never measure. Everybody's measuring up to your father. But I got to tell you, for people that didn't know, when the Who played the Super Bowl, that dude that looked a lot like Keith Moon and that was playing amazing, that was Zach Starr. That was his son.
Oh, no kidding.
That was Ringo Starr's son, Zach, on the drums as Keith Moon in the Who. Oh man, he looked fantastic, and he played. I'm going to say, don't shoot me, better than Keith on that show. He played better than Keith, and that was Ringo Starr's son.
Wow.
Yep,
well, how about Danny Harrison at that awards show? Where Prince blew the roof off with the solo at the end.
Yeah, there's a guy there. Speaking of unsung heroes, on guitar as well. Where but yes, the drumming that goes on in those things. You play with a guy like Prince too, who's all about the up, hitting those notes up in the middle, getting it just right. Right. Yeah. Look when you got a front line like that, and I said the drummers are a lot like a quarterback out there. You're like a quarterback. Yeah. Especially when you're on the riser, you're up there and you're doing that hut, click, 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 hike. It's very similar, but we're not like sports. Quit throwing us together like that.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a name out now.
All right,
Ansley Dunbar. Are you familiar with Ansley Dunbar?
Yes. Give me the band. Was it?
Okay. Legend has it that Jimi Hendrix, when he was picking the drummer out for the Experience, flipped a coin. It was either going to be Mitch Mitchell or Ansley Dunbar. And of course,
really,
that's just an indication of how great he was, because Hendrix couldn't decide. And so he went on to play for Zappa, Journey, John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, the Jeff Beck Group, and several others. I mean, this is a guy that just missed out being on the Hendrix Experience. Whitesnake, Journey, the Jeff Beck Group.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I was going to say Cream, but that's Ginger. Yeah, I've seen him play. Who hasn't, or at least heard him on those songs?
Yeah,
definitely. And remind me, did he use a double kick? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
There were a couple guys back there.
He's one of those kind of unsung heroes we're talking about. Great drummer, but he doesn't pop out at you.
No, you hear the name. Well, Ginger Baker. Although Ginger Baker ends up in the top 10 a lot from that period of time, but
Ginger Baker's fantastic.
Mitch Mitchell. I mean, here he is every four measures soloing with one of the greatest guitar players of all time, Jimi Hendrix. That crossover that Mitch Mitchell does, that 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2, and which has now become a sweep, is one of the greatest fills of all time, and it's still used by most drummers. So there's another one. I'm kind of glad Mitch Mitchell got the job. I can't see Hendrix without Mitch Mitchell. I just can't even visualize it.
I know, and they really work. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love power trios. I absolutely love power trios. They're my favorite.
Exactly.
Hard to find nowadays because there's nowhere to hide. There's absolutely nowhere to hide. You are either badass or you're not in a power trio, and you got to feel it. That bass has got to be on it. Thumping. He gets to be nice and loud and fat. The guitar can get sloppy and noisy, and the drummer's all over. You can overplay. You can overplay up the yin yang. I love those. Right.
Well, you already mentioned one of my favorite power trios with Ginger Baker. What a tremendous drummer. When I was about, let's see, Cream was the first 8-track I ever bought at Disraeli Gears. The first
really?
I bought that on the same day. I bought that on the same day I bought Bayou Country by Creedence Clearwater. Up to that moment, I was listening to All Soul. I was listening to Wilson Pickett, The Temptations, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye. My whole front seat was full of my soul tapes, and I heard
so cool.
Disraeli Gears and you know, CC&R, and I just lost my mind. It just changed my whole listening genre right then and there. You know, not that I still even today don't listen to soul, but when that came out, you know, we kind of went from the British invasion, kind of peaked in '65. And then we got into, me and all my friends got into soul. It was great music to go park in the desert, pass around a jug of wine and a few other things and listen. It was great music to listen to. And then all of a sudden we started getting it back into rock, and then Woodstock hit, and then was, you know, just kept going from there. Nobody looked back after that.
That's a very important drumming period. There are key drumming points, and we talked about this a little bit earlier too, just you and I. And one of them is because of soul. Now, first off, you know, as a drummer, one of the first things you always would get hit with was, hey, can you do Wipeout? You know, and the Safaris had it, and the Adventures. You gotta play Wipeout, or you're not a drummer. You know, it's like level 1. And then, you know, with the soul and stuff, and I'm gonna use the word. Don't give me racial thing. You know, I was raised in the Bay Area. I went to high school in Hayward and Oakland area.
Yeah, right.
My black brothers, my black drummers. I'm white, they were black. That's just, you know, we call each other that. That's what we called each other. So it wasn't African American. I'm not Italian American. I'm a white guy in America. I'm Italian race. Anyways, okay, got that out of the way. But the black drummers in soul and funk were the best drummers, and that's not a racial slur. It just was a fact. And so it was really an honor to. I was a white drummer in a black band twice. And so it was really an honor to do that because, you know, the biggest thing they could call you was a cool cat. That meant I was like the old jazz term. Remember Cool Cat? Cool Cat, man. You
oh yeah, no, you were a cool cat. Yeah.
So they called me the Pink Panther. To this day, I have a Pink Panther tattoo with drumsticks. Yeah, because of that on my left arm. You heard it here, folks. Now you know why I have the Pink Panther on my arm.
Funny.
Yeah, I love that. But the bottom line is that funk that came out. Funk is one of my favorite things. That boom, you know, like Commodores, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire. That whole, you know, boom, you know, hitting that hi-hat, you know, good stuff. But then a dude came along in the mid '70s that, okay, we had these double kicks going, and we had all the funk going. All of a sudden, we heard the song, boom, boom, guts, boom, boom, but, and here it came, what? Boom. What was that? It was a kick drum. It was one kick drum, and it was Denny Carmassi of Montrose. The song was Rock Candy, and everybody's like, "What?" There's a guy that's not even on the top 10.
let me ask you. Okay, one of the other podcasters that just joined us, Mr. Bizarro, he mentioned Bernard Purdie. Are you familiar with Bernard Purdie? He invented the Purdie Shuffle.
No, I don't. I don't know that one. You got me.
Yeah, you can't see the chat, so you don't get to see this stuff. But
let me switch over. I think if I do this, okay, now I'm looking at the chat. I can't see you, but I figured out I could push this button. I'm not going to these private chats, folks. I can't go to private chat. Private chat. No. So yeah, I'm looking down the list. No, I see that. Yeah, there's a lot more bodies in it. Look, there's Denise. Hi, Denise. I see that. Blah blah blah. Yes, and I'm way behind. Oh my gosh! Okay,
scroll back up a little bit. You'll see Mr. Bizarro.
I see Bizarro. I see Bizarro.
Talking about, yeah.
I'm not. What? Give me some more clues. What did he do? What? He said yeah. Ansley didn't use a double bass. I believe that's correct. I think it was.
Okay, Lou, where'd you go? You'll be back. Lou will be back soon, folks. He's actually in his van. He just got to Palm Beach, Florida. I thought he was going to be in New Orleans, is what he told me. Looks like he's back. Here he is.
Oh, now I'm in Florida. Yeah. You know, he's right. Ainsley did not use a double kick, but I believe Ginger Baker did. And Ginger Baker and Cream he was one of the first guys I wonder who the first one was. I don't know the answer to that. I said, he's the earliest I can remember. I was like, what was that? What's going on? I saw 2 kick drums. And then you got Eddie Van Halen's Alex, who had the.
Well, you mentioned Wipeout earlier by the Safaris. Well, when Eddie Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen's brother Alex were from Europe.
I didn't know that.
They didn't speak English. They grew up in Amsterdam. They grew up in Amsterdam, and their parents were both musicians, and So it was a mixed race family, and they moved to, I think it was Denmark, and they didn't get treated very well because of that, is what I read. And so they finally immigrated to the United States, down in the Los Angeles area. And Eddie and Alex were both taking piano lessons, and their parents wanted them to both be concert pianists. And Eddie in particular was really, really excelling. But when they came home one day and told their parents, "We're not going to be concert pianists. We're going to join a rock band," which would have been a real disappointment to them at the time. But what happened is, so Eddie was going to play the drums, and Alex was going to play guitar. And Eddie said one day he heard Alex playing Wipeout and went over to him and said, "You're the drummer. You're the drummer." You know,
that's great that he said that. Though.
Yeah.
You know, I was forced on piano too at 8. I know what that feels like.
Lou, another thing that I found that was funny a few months ago, Eddie Van Halen and all his two-hand tapping up and down the neck. You know?
Yes.
Well, I found a video of Eddie Van Halen's father. I mean, an ancient video, and he's two-hand tapping.
No way.
I said, try to Google it. I mean, or on YouTube or something. Do a search. Eddie Van Halen's father playing the guitar. He's two-hand tapping.
That's interesting because they try to credit this other guy before Eddie was doing that, and I bet his father did it even before that. Well, but back on the drummers about Alex.
Okay. Yeah.
Alex's song that a lot of drummers that really brought another level to double kick. Speaking of double kick, Hot for Teacher. Yeah. Now there's a lot of mystery about that song. A lot of people are like, is that a Harley Davidson at the beginning? Is that him on the double kick? Is he overdubbing? There's a lot of conversation, and Alex has never said exactly what it is. But I know this. I do know this. He does triggers. If you take your fingers and you go like tap your fingers and you tap them on a drum machine, it sounds just like the opening. And another guy figured that out too.
I always assumed that was drums, but I know what you're saying. Is it a Harley Davidson? Yeah.
Only the first 8 measures, I believe, and then right after that, you hear his double kick come in, and he does a shuffle on the kick, and that's what's cool about it, though. He does a a lot of the guys when they first got the double kick, they're all running in place, as fast as they can. Here comes Alex. He gets tasty with a kick, right? He does a shuffle. Who does it fun? And that's what makes you cool, is that you don't have to be the fastest. You got to just be original. Come up with something. Hey, that sounds cool, and go with it. I got a couple of comments here. Michael Nolan from the Bottom Line says. He'll double a piece and raise you one Beck and one Bogart. Yay.
And Mr. Bizarro says, first in jazz or first in rock to use the double bass. Louis Bellson was first to use a double bass and even a triple bass drum setup.
Whoa. It's hard to have a third leg, But I've seen it. And I wonder how they actually can prove that stuff. I guess they just go back to as much as they, can look or see. But
yeah.
I mean,
Lou, who was the drummer? I think it was Def Leppard. The guy lost his arm in a motorcycle.
Yes.
I've never seen so many pedals for the drums in my life, on a set. And he continued to play and did a great job.
Who doesn't get credit for a lot of that? By the way, here's speaking of unsung drummers. There's a great story on that one, because I used to warm up for him on his drum circuit shows. I was the unfortunate dude that would sometimes come in front of him at drum workshop. His name was Terry Bozzio, Missing Persons. Remember him? And then he went on. Jeff Beck. He was, I think he might even done. I don't know if he did any work with Zappa. He might have. There was another, but Terry Bozzio. He invented the shark pedal. You can look that up. The shark pedal is the electronic pedal that enabled Def Leppard's drummer to continue playing. And he also invented these pipes. You hit the pipes and they would make sounds way before the Simmons stuff and all that. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow.
I actually like, and I'm going to give away something I never told anybody right here on the show. This is, I've never admitted this. But if you watch the US Festival and the television show I was on, the producer from the US Festival, he's there. And they keep commenting on I lift my leg on that. I kept lifting my leg and kicking it out, which, by the way, a brand new Chili Pepper video. Drummer does that. I've never seen any drummer do it but me. Yes, but I got the idea from Terry Bozzio. If you watch the US Festival, he lifted his knee, didn't lift his leg, but he lifts his knees real high when he go around on these double strokes. And he lifts his leg. I was like, that's the coolest thing I ever saw. So when I was doing the drum contest, I had to come up with something. And I heard that when Pete Townsend had to go up against Hendrix on that one festival, he's like, man, I got to do something. That's when he came up with the arm pinwheel. So I was doing a backward twirl arm pinwheel, and I kicked my leg out. And it worked. It worked.
That's hilarious.
It got the judges' attention. You know what? And that's when they come on, they go, you know what? There's a thing, and here's a segue for what we're talking about. Showmanship. Showmanship. Right. Where has our showmanship gone? Drummers out there. You sit back there. You can have a great meter, but you can have a cardboard cutout, and people to sell tickets.
Well, I'll tell you what. Go on YouTube and for a video of Tommy Clufetus, who plays now whether he's Ozzy or Black Sabbath. Tommy's the drummer.
Right on. Yeah.
And oh my God, that guy is he's got a bunch of solos online that you can watch. Fantastic.
Well, that makes sense because the prior drummer, God, was Dave. Somebody looked that up. David, he was Italian. We used to hang out in Arizona together. The prior drummer, he was on Crazy Train.
Okay.
And then unfortunately he passed away early. He was quite a showman. He was the guy that would put his foot on the floor tom and then play that floor tom, tighten it up, loosen it up.
Okay.
Stole that from him. Guy was Dave something. Dave, but yeah, once I hear the name, it'll come across. Someone will find it. But yeah, so let's get to the top 10 of this list a little bit and talk about. So let's talk about some of the people that they always mention. Okay, we're gonna say John Bonham, Neil Peart, Buddy Rich. Who else would you put there at the top beyond those guys? Right at the top.
Stuart Copeland, drummer for Sting.
Yep. Great ska playing going on there.
Keith Moon, who? The Who? Where would you put Dave Grohl? Nirvana and Foo Fighters.
Woo! So there's another interesting thing, isn't it? There are four drummers. That could possibly end up in the Hall of Fame twice. Four.
Yeah.
One of them is Ringo Starr.
Well, okay.
Number two, the guy played for the Eagles. Remember that guy? Well, not yet. You got the Eagles.
Okay. Yeah.
We got the Eagles, and then we've got Dave from Nirvana.
Sure.
But before those guys, you're forgetting Phil Collins.
Phil Collins. Okay, yeah. I had Phil Collins on one of my lists here. Yeah, I didn't know about the double, but yeah, I wasn't thinking about that.
And I'm blanking out on Eagles. How can you? What's his name? We got it.
Oh man.
Oh, Glenn Fry. Is it Glenn Fry? Glenn Fry?
I don't know. Hold on. I'll find it. You go ahead. I'll find it.
I can't look up something. I can barely chew gum and drum. So along those lines, right off the bat there, Elton John is quoted as saying that Dave Grohl was one of the biggest influences. Don Henley. Glenn Fry was the guitarist.
Right.
He's in the group at least. He's in
the group. You were warm. I appreciate the Eagles. I'll just leave it at that. I appreciate them. Great writers. But yes, or even, the drummer, I was just listening to Foreplay the other day. I listened to Forever from Boston. He's doing all these, it's fantastic. Great stuff. Right.
And it's not easy being a drummer for ballad bands like Journey. No. That guy, he's doing all those big flams. Boom, 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 boom. You need that. You got to have it. Someone's got to do it, laying it back in the pocket heavy. Yeah, Mick Fleetwood. All right, back to the top guys. Now, it seems to always come down to Neil Peart and John Bonham.
Neil Peart from Rush, right.
Yes, and John Bonham. And Keith Moon, a lot of times. I've seen that rotate. And Buddy Rich.
And Buddy Rich.
Yeah. So where would you put those four, in your opinion, of course?
I'm such a huge Led Zeppelin fan. I could not put John Bonham on top.
I saw Led Zeppelin. I saw them in the last show they ever played with Bonham, The Weekend in America.
Right.
And here's one thing I will tell you. There's only two drummers I've ever seen in my life where the entire stadium started air drumming. And one was
right.
and one was Montrose. When Montrose
Okay.
kicked in, there was UFO Journey in Montrose at Wonderland in San Francisco, late 70s. And when Denny started Rock Candy, the entire place, they all crossed their hands, even like a drummer plays it. They even crossed it like him. They didn't,
Wow.
they crossed their hands. They were all at the same time.
Right.
Looked around.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And then when John,
I would have to put Ginger Baker in his prime with the Cream up there myself.
Ginger Baker. Yeah. No. Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
I mean, yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I just remember when I was about 16 years old, he was being celebrated as the greatest drummer, alive at the time,
Well, it's the same thing like with going back to the Ringo thing. Ringo and Ginger, you put them up against like Neil Peart. His roles and Phil Styles would smoke them. But if you take the time period of what was going on, the equipment you had, I mean, the cymbal stands back then were like tinfoil. You hit them and they'd fall over. When you see the stands I have today versus what they were working with back then, it's not the heads today. The gear, the pedals are like lightning fast today. Yeah, this thing on with a leather strap.
Let me ask you a question though. Okay, Linda Foster said she loves Jason Bonham. How close do you think the son got to the father in terms of ability?
Shoot.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that a good question?
Yeah. And you've asked me at a good time, because if you'd asked me originally, I used to answer, I was not pleased with Jason Bonham. I did not. Okay. I was such a huge fan of his father. I couldn't see it.
Right.
However, I'll tell you what, not too long ago, Led Zeppelin was inaugurated in it was the British, Royal Theater. It's on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
And its heart what was it? I think it might have been.
No, they did Stairway to Heaven. Heart did
Stairway to Heaven. Oh my
God. Robert Plant and Jimmy Page were sitting. Oh, and the bass player John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones.
Right, yeah.
Yes. And Robert Plant's tearing up. Is that the one? He's
Robert
like tearing up.
Crying.
And
Robert
he's so good.
And Jimmy Page was just beaming.
Oh my gosh. Well, the guitarist plays the solo cleaner he did. So much of that one. But Jason Bonham was so on point on that show. When you watch that video, he is so on point. I will never say he's not as good as his dad again after seeing that, because I watched that.
That was a fantastic video, wasn't it? I've seen it 3 or 4 times. I'd like to go watch it again tonight when we're done.
I watched it like 5 times in a row the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I got tears. Play it again. Look, Robert's crying.
Robert
was so emotional. Oh, I sucked right into it with him. I was like, Nancy and Ann Wilson.
Yeah.
God. Okay, let's talk about this as musicians, the pressure that you are on at this gig. You're sitting there and you're going to perform in front of one of the most epic bands of all time, their song. And let's do the most epic song that they did in their list. Although you got a lot of epic songs.
Right.
That's
like a rock icon, that song,
God, I can't think of any more pressure than that. And that they went up there and all of them grand slammed it in baseball terms out of the park.
Right.
Is unbelievable. I mean, wow. And then the chorus and all the stuff they added. Usually that would have been overkill, but it worked. It was just fantastic.
What I meant to say was rock anthem, not icon. that song, Stairway to Heaven, is just amazing. I put sometimes when I've got Zeppelin in my truck, I'll put it on a repeat when that song comes on. I can listen to that 4 or 5 times and never get tired of it in a row,
Well, there's
the times already.
To this day, we were talking about, and I was talking about the shows on air drumming. When the levee break comes on, not too many drummers within 2 notes on a radio that you go, oh, that's so and so.
Right. You know what? But that's the Beatles though too, isn't it? Like 1 note sometimes.
Yeah. Well, but when the levee breaks, boom, boom.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go. I interrupted.
Oh no, no, that's okay. That's conversation. That's how we. Yeah, that's Italian. I didn't know you were Italian.
Tell that to my wife. Tell that to my wife.
That's all part of it. That's all part of it. No, but here's the thing. We'll go with John Bonham. he's in the pocket. But Neil Peart,
Yeah.
technically, proficiently amazing.
Yeah.
There's a quote I make about a good song versus a great song, though, and I say a good song is one that moves you emotionally or physically. A great song does both. I love Rush. I've seen him twice live. It didn't make me want to dance. I didn't feel it in my heart. I didn't get a tear like Robert Plant. You know, I wouldn't see, you know, one of the Rush songs and be going, "Trouble with the Trees," you know, "Trouble in the Forest." You know, it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. Great band, great stuff, technically amazing, but the groove, boom, go, bob, boom, boom, man, your heart, you feel it in the chest, and man, if you can't dance when someone hits drums like that, you can't dance. You know, there's just no hope for you. So that's that in a nutshell. Is great drumming. That's great drumming. Yeah. Whether you're in Tower of Power, whether you're in, you know, Buddy Rich's jazz band, but he hits that pocket. Stuart Copeland, bop, bop, going on the up. That one, you know, don't stand, that playing on the end. Fantastic. You know, that's what he does. Don't forget Highway Star, epic song. You know, builds it up. You know, just coming over the top, get you going.
That's right. I know.
But
that's good stuff. You don't even need a drum set.
Oh no! Oh gosh, no. Circle Star Theater, Three Dog Night. Do you remember those guys? Three Dog Night.
Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 of their albums, vinyl albums.
That dude had
this number that you'll ever do, and they were a great band. What was about 1969, 70, right in through
the 70s. Oh, Around the World with Three Dog Night double album was the biggest album at that period, and he came out in big dude, big black dude. He's a black guy. They playing his clear set, Vista Light sets way ahead of their time. Bonham ended up using the clear transparent set later. But the Circle Star Theater, it goes around a circle, hence the name. And I watched that drummer all night. And then for the first time ever, they had a song called Styx. It was a drum solo song.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if that was, I don't know if that was pre-Moby Dick or post-Moby Dick, but it was darn close.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm going to give Three Dog Night the edge to think that maybe it might have been right before. What Moby Dick was on what? Was it on 4 or 5? I don't know, Led Zeppelin? I don't know. Someone will figure that out. But anyways, that's more drummers, great drummers that changed time. Don't forget Queen. You know, was that Brian May's guitar, John Deacon's bass. Oh, gosh,
I can't think of the name of the Queen drummer.
Yeah.
How about Mick Fleetwood? Fleetwood Mac.
Huge. Huge. I mean, the guy, not only does he start the band, it's named after him.
You're right.
He pulls together. So here's another thing. Here's the drummer that organizes this thing. He puts together Lindsay. He's the guy to put that all together.
Right.
That's worth something. That's worth something. In the top where they put albums against each other, Fleetwood Mac Rumors album is constantly one of the albums that people talk about as one of the greatest albums of all time, you know, whether you agree with that or not. It's in the list.
Rumors is huge, you know.
That's the drummer. So, of course. Of course. He's drumming on the album. How could you say he's not amazing, you know, right?
No,
I'm on one of the greatest albums of all time. Is the drummer any good?
How would you like to be the drummer in the Foo Fighters and you've got David Grohl up there singing? You know, he's a better drummer than you are. Although the drummer in the Foo Fighters is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting him down.
He is.
But that would be.
I've played a couple of those Foo Fighters songs, and they rock. And it's a workout. Watching David Grohl is a whole nother thing, though.
Yeah.
I was going back and watching Nirvana again, some of the early footage when they were really punking out. You know, and I really miss that raw garage type band. Where they come out, and it just seems like it's, sorry for the term, lack of a better term, but balls out, jamming. Just you sit there. It's just like there's nothing left on it. And there's you go with your power trio again, right? You know, it's just like, wow. I watched a couple videos recently. I'm blown away. I was just like, man, where's that? The raw energy, mistakes all over the place. You didn't care. I don't care. It's just amazing. Give me more, whatever this is. Give me more. Yeah. That's good
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got me.
You know,
I'm talking too much because we're talking drums, man. I
no,
can't
no,
stop
no, no. This
talking.
is good. Okay.
I love
What
the
do you
drums.
think of Carlton Barrett from Bob Marley and the Wailers? Are you familiar with his drumming at all? Or?
A little bit. Reggae's
bit,
my weak spot. I'll tell you what though, reggae is just as important as anything else. All genres are. People are always like, I
Yeah,
don't
they
like
are.
country. Oh, really? I had to play with a country band once, 16 weeks in a row. And I never saw that. If I missed one little tap, the whole floor was like, oh, because their synchronized dancing is so tight with the beat.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I would start drinking by the end of the night. They're all over the floor.
All that line dancing and stuff.
Oh, man, it's right on time. And if you aren't
Right.
solid, reggae, you gotta be. And I'm like used to like, the whole floor would like shake like a tremor. It's kind of fun.
Right.
But
Do you remember the Spiegel Brothers? It was twin boys that were about, I don't know, 14, 15 years old. They had an older brother, Brent, and their dad played with them.
No, I don't remember that.
It was a local band out of San Luis Obispo.
And, I wasn't even here yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was raised in the Philippine Islands, so I had to learn all the American stuff. It's a weird story. Yeah, and I'm not an Air Force brat, so we'll just get that out of there. That's what they called them back then. Don't send me emails on that either.
Right.
They did. You were a Clark Air Base, or were you a civilian? Yeah. No, so yeah, we were just wealthy people in another country. That's That's how it is. If you're in another country, you're wealthy. If you're over here, you're wealthy. Anyways,
I love that Ansley Dunbar story though, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, where he flipped a coin.
I never heard that. The best drum story I could match up with that I like is the Keith Moon story. Are you familiar with that? Where how he got his gig when apparently he was watching the Who, and they had at the very beginning, and they had another drummer. And he literally walked up and told him, he goes, that guy sucks.
I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, I'm better than him. And he tells him, they're like, oh yeah, get up here. And he did. And he became the drummer. He literally called the guy out.
Wow.
It's so Keith Moon.
I think I know, I do too. And I think I mentioned this last week, him and Mama Cass both died at the same flat in London owned by Harry Nilsson.
Oh, yes. I do recall you saying.
Yeah, I did bring it up. Yeah, I brought it up so many times. I thought I brought it up last week. Yeah.
That was pretty sad. And let's talk about, that brings up an interesting point. Death in drumming. There's been some big deaths, and one of the biggest was Bonham. And there's always that thing in Keith Moon.
Charlie Watts.
Charlie Watts recently, do you replace the drummer or not? Now, you get a big argument about it doesn't make a difference. It's just the drums.
Oh, it's just the drummer, sure.
It's a huge difference. If anything, it makes even a bigger difference because, the guitar is a matter of notes, and definitely there's some technical with the sound, no doubt.
Sure.
But the drumming, it's even how you hit the head. It's even how you strike it a little bit different or place it.
Exactly.
So how do you replace Bonham? How do you replace Keith Moon? You don't. And both bands were never the same. They were never the same afterwards. I'll argue with anybody on that. They were not the same.
No, I agree.
Yeah, there's magic to that. It's a formula. When you have it and you screw with it, it happens with vocalists too. Oh, let's just throw another vocalist in there. Journey. Come on. It didn't work. He sounded like him, kind of, but it wasn't Steve Perry. You don't replace Steve Perry. Come on.
Right. Jerry Mullen, U2. You familiar with his music at all? Jerry Mullen,
U2, I have seen it live in Denver, and I did not like U2 until I saw that show. And then I realized how wrong I was.
Right.
But what blew me away the most...
That happens sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I got a free ticket. So I was like, I'll go.
Right.
I don't want to see these guys. But you know what? What got me was Bono, who I disliked the most, I thought.
Yeah.
He came out there. He was such a showman. At the very end of the show, he came out and sings a cappella When Fools Rush In by Elvis Presley by himself, about 4 octaves higher. Unbelievable performance. So, yeah. Wow. But, yeah, that's a solid drumming. I mean, to me, U2 drummer reminds me kind of the Stray Cats drummer. He's just right in there. He's got that that cut time. You got that cut time beat going on, a little bit of edge on. head.
Well, how about Michael Shreve, Santana? I tell you what, the drumming at Woodstock by Santana just blew me away. Soul Sacrifice.
Santana in
I
Zappa.
I can still picture it in my head. Pardon me?
Santana, the bands Santana and Zappa probably have, and the reason I throw those together, have probably were the cause of so many great drummers coming out. They've had a rotation of percussionists and drummers in both of those bands that were absolutely amazing through time. You know, they never had a bad. You want to see a killer percussion section? Go see Santana. Go see Zappa before he passed. You were never going to be disappointed. You know,
right? Okay.
Didn't Chaka Khan come from one of those? Am I wrong on that?
I'm not sure.
Was it Santana? I guess what you do with Chaka Khan.
You think so? I'm not. Maybe.
I don't know. She might have been on the timbales in Santana.
Got to be a fit, you know.
Someone check on that. I'm putting down that Chaka Khan might have been in Santana.
Maybe. Okay, I will. Now listen. Now Santana had never released an album when they played at Woodstock. They were opening for the Grateful Dead.
Wow.
And they ran into Jerry Garcia at the airport. Both bands, you know, at the airport. And Jerry said, "Hey, you guys want to drop some acid?" And they go, "No, we wouldn't be able to." And they were no stranger to it. I mean, all those bands,
to get a gig. Yeah.
Golden Gate Park, you know, in San Francisco, free concerts.
Haight-Ashbury. Yeah.
But anyway, so Jerry Garcia says to Carlos, he goes, "Now listen, you're going on after us, and we're not going on till 11 o'clock. You've got like 11 or 12 hours before you even go on." So the group Santana decided they'd all drop acid. And so since the traffic was so bad and people weren't getting in, the schedule got all messed up. Just when they were like peaking 2 hours into it, they came back. They came to him and said, "You're up."
Whoa!
So these other bands couldn't get here in time. You're up, and they were messed up on LSD when they played in Woodstock. And what a performance on Soul Sacrifice! I love that song.
Oh, I've played in those conditions. I played in those conditions. There's the band I won't mention the name of because I don't want to trash them because I was a witness. But I will say this. No. But it was a theater, and we were going on before them, and I had my hand on the bouncer, and we were walking down the backstage, with the flashlight, and all of a sudden there's a silhouette like sideways like this, and you can see the silhouette just goes punk, down. Right. So the big guy puts the flashlight down. It's the bassist for the next band, the headliner.
Jesus!
He's got a needle in his neck. His eyes rolling up. And he takes the flashlight and he puts it on me and he goes, "I guess you've got an extended set." Welcome to the big time, boy.
Big time, yeah.
Now the rest. Now this is going to tie in with the drumming because the rest of the band does not know this, right? On my band.
Okay.
So I'm coming up. I'm coming out. They're already out, and I get up and I climb up the riser, and we hear this go 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 go, click click click. It's on. So this is what's in my head on the beginning of the show.
Right.
I just saw the guy pass out in the back that's coming on after us that everybody paid tickets for. That's the first thing. Second thing is I somehow have to keep our band going 2 extra songs to give these guys time to get on. That's all in my lap. That's the kind of things drummers have a lot of times. They come. So as we click out and we're getting ready to go off, the guy's getting ready to go off, I start clicking off another song. And they're just like looking back because you have no chance. Hey, come over here. This isn't a nightclub. Hey, let's huddle. No, it's a big ass stage. There was no chance. It was like click. He's clicking off. Well, we always had a plan for encores. He's clicking off an encore. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's part of what makes great drumming. That's part of what the drummers that we're talking about that you'll see or have seen, they impressed you somehow, whether it was the way they moved, what they played, something. For me, Gene Krupa was huge for us because here was a 20-some-odd piece orchestra, and where was he at? In the front. He pulled the drums to the front by show drumming. Jungle beat.
That's what Buddy Miles did. That's what Buddy Miles did. He played for Hendrix, and I saw him live in Las Vegas at the Convention Center when I was a teenager, and he's up there. And he's got this huge afro, and he had the album "Them Changes" was out, huge afro, tank top, sat up there with the rest of the band behind him, beating on the drums, and it was what a fun concert that was. You know, that's one that I remember. That concert.
You know, when the drummer moves, it's. I mean, Tommy Lee. We'll put Tommy Lee out there. He was a little over the top, but of course it was the '80s. You know, and he's doing his cage upside down. But you know what? Buddy Rich did a cage. A lot of people don't know that. Buddy Rich did it. Look it up. He did one that went this way on like a Talk Tonight Show type thing. So he did it too. So that was showmanship. And good for Tommy Lee. He got the drummers back out there. And I got to tell you, his groove on Dr. Feelgood, man, when that album came out,
Okay, I got to make a couple of comments here. Linda Foster brought up Sheila E., the drummer. Sheila E.
That's who's Santana. She was Santana, wasn't she?
Well,
Sheila E. I thought she came from somebody big like that from percussion. Came from Santana.
And Carlos Santana's wife, Cindy, Mr. Bizarro's telling us this, is an incredible drummer. Carlos Santana's wife.
I wouldn't surprise you.
Now, you know what? I've got to show a couple of pictures real quick, okay?
Do to it, yes.
I don't want to completely forget that I have these pictures to show. And John Bonham.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we've been talking about Neil Peart from Rush.
Small kit for Peart there. That's early days or later. Did he looks older there.
Later. He looks a little older.
He looks older. Yeah, he trimmed back. Nice. I'm glad he did.
Got Keith.
Oh, there he is.
David Grohl. My favorite.
There's an old man.
I've
had my moments
about our buddy Ringo.
Ringo, yes.
Okay, but let me go down to the one I really wanted to show you because it's kind of mind-boggling, and that's our friend, Tommy Lee.
Oh, right, Tommy
Lee, and this is they had like kind of almost like a roller coaster thing set up that went up in the sky, and the drum set was on it, and here he is stuck upside down. Stuck upside down, Tommy Lee playing the drums.
That is why you don't do that.
I think there's another picture where they're climbing down this thing.
See, I used to be in bands and they'd get all complicated like that. Let's do this and pyro. The more complicated you make it, that stuff goes wrong.
Yeah, right.
Do some stuff, but keep it simple. Oh, there he is.
Ginger Baker.
Yeah.
Buddy Rich. Yeah.
Buddy.
And then here's Travis Barker.
Oh, we've got mentioned Travis. You know, Travis, when he started playing along with the DJs, nobody had done that till him.
Okay.
Remember, he set up his kit with a DJ, and he's jamming. I actually did a couple weddings where I jammed with a DJ system.
No kidding.
Like Travis, because of Travis, it was requested. So so there it is. There's something that really changed. I don't feel he's ever been quite the same after that plane accident.
Okay.
I don't recognize this.
Jimi Hendrix.
That's Mitch Mitchell. I always remember Mitch with a fro. I thought he had a fro too, like a perm. I don't remember him.
I remember that too.
Don't you remember? Yeah, that. Yeah, it was awesome.
Phil Collins.
Yep, Phil. I have one disappointment with Phil. The No Jacket Required album, he did electronic drums a lot. Charlie, best meter in the business. Charlie's like a live studio drummer. Because you got your studio drummer who's always on point.
Live studio drummer. That's a really good way of putting that, Lou.
It is. Yeah, that's what he was.
Alex Van Halen.
Oh, he looks different there. I didn't recognize him.
I know he does look different, doesn't he?
Yeah, I didn't know who that was at first.
Something about the side view.
I remember I saw Van Halen warm up for Black Sabbath when they first came out, and we were just blown away. They got kicked off the tour.
I saw Black Sabbath, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. Not Black Sabbath. I've seen Black Sabbath twice, actually, but I saw Eddie Van Halen at the Paso Robles Fairgrounds when he reunited with David Lee Roth. Remember that?
Yep. I didn't see it, but
it was a fun concert. I mean, David Lee Roth wasn't getting 8 feet of air anymore or anything like that, only like 5 or 6, but I mean, we're all getting older. But when we're all standing there screaming for an encore because it was such a good concert, all of a sudden Eddie walks out by himself, sits a little wooden chair down in front of a microphone, lowers the mic, and solos for 25 or 30 minutes. And it was one of the greatest times I've had. One of the greatest 25 minutes I've had watching a band was him sitting there soloing for that amount of time, just all by himself, just sitting out there.
That's hard to do because and that's with drummers, you have to be very careful. The drum solo. You know,
Right.
they usually, you don't want your drum solo usually go beyond 2 minutes, and 2 minutes is a long time. In,
Oh yeah,
in,
it's a
in
long time.
stage time. That's a long time.
But he just
And
played, and played. You know, it was just so much fun to watch. You know,
oh, he's amazing.
And I saw Black Sabbath at the Las Vegas Convention Center when I was a teenager, and then again at the Ontario Speedway. It was called California Jam 1, and they were there with a whole bunch of other good bands. Yeah.
What do you think some drummers are that you know? Where do you think drumming's going right now? Where do you think it's going to go? What do you think, or where does it need to go?
Well, that's really a tough question because there's so much difference in style that it's you know, Go ahead.
We don't know. We don't want to get caught saying this because, you know, here's what really a pet peeve of mine. People, there's no good music today. You know, that's like
no, I know. Yeah.
Right. There's
I
no
see that all the time
today.
Right.
People, you stop trying to find new music. There's lots of great. Get out there and listen again. There's so many amazing musicians.
Yeah.
You know, they're faster now. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Go ahead.
It's like no two drummers sound alike. We've already no two guitar players sound alike either. But when it comes to drumming, I really don't know where drumming's going. I think it's just gonna keep being what it is now. Really, I think. You know,
a few years ago, I was at NAMM. That's the big convention in LA. For the people who know that NAMM, NAMM is it's
the NAMM show. Yeah,
it's the biggest show for music there is. It's kind of about dealers.
All the manufacturers are there with their stuff. Yeah.
So I used to go every year, you know, and this one particular year, you know, there was a period where I've been sponsored by different people. DW was one of them for a short period of the pedal. So it was the owner was there. He's really old now, and he was standing there, and he's just like falling asleep with all these drums going on. He's falling asleep. And a 17-year-old kid is it was. That's why I walked up to him. Hey, and he remembered me. And this while I'm talking to him, waking him up. Hey, nice to see you, man. This kid is shredding on this DW kit on a little riser. You know how they do that now?
Yeah.
He's just ripping. Wow. Now my face must have shown it because, and I forget his name. He started DW. I'm sorry if he's out there, but he turns and he looks at me and he goes, he's fast, isn't he? I'm like, holy shit, he was fast. Yeah, I could never play that fast. Oh yeah, it's like times 4 of me, my fastest. You know, I'm just like. That's like watching somebody throw a 300-mile-per-hour, you know, fastball. You know, it's like what?
Right.
But he looks at me. He goes, but you got the curve. I was like, you got the curve. I was like, you know what? There's some wisdom in there, folks.
Right.
There's a huge, and that's what I love about our elders. This guy's been playing drums forever. He invented great drums. Yeah. And there's something to be said about that. Just because you're not the fastest or you're not the showiest. We all have something to offer, just like these drummers we talked about.
Right.
Just like the painters painted their different styles. Paint your own picture. Go outside the lines. But most important of all, absolutely, you know, create new genres, create new music, you know, and get out there. And, you know, I'm going to throw where I think drumming's going. I think the drummer from Radiohead does stuff that's so far ahead. It's hard to actually, you know, you're like, what is that? But I think 5 to 7 years from now, some of his stuff, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's because that happens. Do you remember how some of the metal sounded so fast when you were younger? Oh my God, that's oh my God, how are they playing that fast? Now you listen to it, it's all you know,
right. You're right.
Is that the same song? It's a lot faster.
Right. That's true.
It
does evolve, you know.
Yes, and it comes full circle too. So
but I mean, Buddy Rich was fast. And he was playing in the 30s. You know, Frank Sinatra. You know,
he was mostly over the top with those double strokes and stuff, and you know, got that. And then Steve Gadd. Oh gosh, I almost forgot to mention Steve Gadd came along doing. Whoa, did it again. Did my hands. Steve Gadd came along doing the paradiddles. Do that. You know, woo. You know. Good stuff. Right. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Look how simple that was, but amazing. Boom, boom, wow.
Right.
Sick pocket. Sick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, all right. I gotta let you get a word in. See, drums excite me so much.
Go ahead. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying listening to you talk. I mean, you're the drumming expert. You're the drumming expert at the drummer show. So let's see.
Not far from an expert.
How about Ramon Tiki Fullwood? Ramon Tiki.
Is that from the Ramones? Is the only way you'll guess. I don't know that name.
No. But I do have the Ramones here.
Remember the Ramones? They all had the name Ramon. Did they? Johnny, Joey.
Was it Tommy Ramone, the drummer?
I think so. I think you might be right. I'm not 100%. When punk first came out, I was like, I didn't get it
here somewhere.
But we needed punk. We had to have punk. If we didn't have punk, it wouldn't have busted us out of the disco, and we wouldn't have, became the new wave, and it turned into a whole nother genre because of that.
Okay, and there were short songs too,
Oh gosh, yeah, and they gave birth to some really bizarre bands. Remember the Minutemen and the Butthole Surfers,
right?
UPS.
I remember the Butthole. They were pretty good.
I'm not making that up, folks. Yeah, I went to a show. I saw Meat Puppets, King of the 1 Minute Song. That was it.
It's over, yeah.
Yeah, that was all that punk.
I had Stephanie Bailey, the Black Angels.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
No, it was Tommy Ramone. Tommy Ramone from the Ramones.
Tommy, right on.
Yeah. I was right. It just took me a while. It took me a while to confirm that I was right.
Well, it's little things that those guys did. But it's a little thing. It's no different. Back to Ringo again. Ringo played the hi-hat slightly open. We called it a splashy hi-hat. You didn't do that.
Okay.
We all thought that sounded like crap until he did it. And then we're all like, Now the punk guys play the crash cymbal like a ride cymbal. Crash, 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 crash. You listen to White Stripes, Seven Nation Army. Dun, 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 dun. She's just pounding on that. And by the way, there's a whole seminar about her drumming on that song where a bunch of drummers go, that was too simple. There was so much she could have done. And I love the argument of the pro drummer who says, that's exactly what she should have done. She played that beat exactly the way it should have gone because she sat back there and she kept it solid while, is it Jack White, I believe, was just all over that guitar. And you have to have that discipline to stay back there and hold the fort and not let loose. Like Mitch did sometimes, right? So that was really cool. That's a lot of discipline, and it was a great beat. Same with Lenny Kravitz, drummer. Don't forget the ladies. They were kicking butt too. And there's so many more. I'm going to put a plug out. There's an LA band. If you guys ever cross this, they're called Black Sab Bitch, one of the tribute bands. Black Sab Bitch. Can't make that up. Oh my gosh!
I've never heard of it.
Go see them. The best part of them. It's like when I met the Runaways. I met the Runaways when I was 17, Joan Jett and them at the Night Train. We were both playing the Night Train. Anyways, with them, you'll find yourself not saying, hey, she's pretty good for a girl. You won't say that. They're good, period. And that's what I love. Another thing, we're drumming with the women drumming right now. They're evolving. They're not good for girls. They're out playing you dudes. You better practice. Yeah. Because these ladies, they're ripping, man. They're shredding.
Right. Hey, I was gonna ask Mr. Bizarro. This guy's got a good show and he plays a lot of good music. I just put a link up. You seem to know a lot of drummers. A lot of you mentioned a lot of drummers. I don't even know. If you want to click on the link I just put up, we'll pull you on the show and you can help fill in some blanks.
Yeah, bring him in.
Yeah. So, Mr. Bizarro, go ahead. Click on the link and we'll bring you in.
While I was coming in, I see a comment here about, and it should be mentioned, Steven Tyler was a heck of a drummer for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was the original drummer to the band, actually.
You're kidding me.
No, Steven Tyler, and I've seen him jam. They actually nicknamed him Bonzo, like Bonham.
No kidding.
Yeah, Steven Tyler can rip. And then he was singing, but his voice, they're like, hey, just like Phil Collins, pull him up front, Okay. And the story on Phil Collins in Genesis is that Peter Gabriel walked out the show. So Phil, who was already backing him up, ended up taking over the vocals on the spot that night.
No kidding.
The whole show, and that's how that whole thing changed and became Phil Collins from that.
Right.
Peter walking off. Yeah, weird stuff,
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of good things. Is Bizarro going to join us? I was just reading.
I don't know, Mr. Bizarro. Why don't you jump on the show? I've got a link right below your last comment about Cindy Blackman, who played for Lenny Kravitz. Are you familiar with her at all? Okay.
Are you talking to me? Yeah. I
Yeah.
brought her up. I just didn't say her name. That part where she said that hi-hat where one and two, bum, bum. I don't know why.
Right,
That's good stuff, right? She's doing those big arcs there. Good stuff.
Right.
I get excited.
Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Bizarro, you're welcome to join us, buddy. Just click on the link at the very bottom.
And people are hitting me on this private chat. Folks,
I see. I didn't throw the link up. I'm sorry. It's up there now, Mr. Bizarro. The link is up. I didn't hit chat. It was sitting.
Oh,
okay,
shoot.
Whatever. But anyway, jump on. Okay, so let's see. Denise Kennedy, Peter Gabriel in Genesis too. Yeah.
Yes.
Peter Gabriel in Genesis. He was great.
Of course, Peter Gabriel was the singer. Remember, he's not the drummer.
Okay.
Now he's did. I think he did some percussion stuff. Oh, I hear a voice.
How'd that song go? Fooled again.
Don't get fooled again. So there's the thing about Keith. Keith was in a rock opera. He was one of the drummers in that rock opera. He acted in it. He wrote some of the stuff. He sang in it.
He broke some of the stuff.
He broke and wrote.
That's not surprising.
But you know what? But that's part of it. He was a whole package, and he brought attention to drummers. And if you can bring that drum set up front without moving the kit, that's pretty amazing. And that's what he did. Especially when, gosh, look at his front line. Look at the front line he got in front of. You know, that's a heck of a front line to hear your name get mentioned. It's like Ringo and Bonham.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and you're talking about the drummer being one of the greatest guys in that band. Wow, right? It's amazing.
I know. Let's see.
Be like a dream come true.
Okay.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll tell a quick story.
We've got Adam D.
Was it coming?
Adam D. Sometimes is a wealth of information. Often.
Right on.
He knew a lot about when I was talking about Jimmy Page's stolen Les Paul that he got back after 45 years.
No way. I didn't know that one.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, I have a podcast where I talked about it. But anyway, that's guitar. We're on drums.
Yeah, you keep slipping on us. I keep bringing you back. Keep
bringing me back. That's the way to do it. Yeah. So anyway, Linda he's gonna finish dinner. sounds like Linda's husband's making dinner tonight. Nice.
Well, nice. And I can hold at least. I'm gonna make it for at least 15 more minutes. I can make it to the hour.
Okay. Sounds good, buddy. Sounds good.
I'm gonna.
So
I'm
what
gonna
are your plans now? You're doing the van life thing, tour in the United States.
Well,
are you coming back to the Central Coast in California where you were living before?
Well, I always come back to California. I consider California my home for the most part. Right. And the Central Coast and Northern. I did the world record thing up in Chico. I played a lot in Central Coast as well. But I usually would not play locally. I would go on tour. I would go home there. So I go home there to rest, to see family. Okay. But the big thing right now, it's kind of in three parts. The book is my bread and butter. I'm getting old. You got to have residual income. And the book will be my residual income, hopefully.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two, I want to do a vinyl album. Speaking of vinyl, and I've got 10 songs. I'm going to do a limited release. It's just more for my fans. And there'll be like 1,000 copies. That's it. And send those out. Kind of a swan song album. I've got some new music for that. Lastly, I think maybe we're talking. With the COVID thing, if it stays down, the gas returns eventually to some reason. We'll hit the road one more time. I'll bring a back line in and we'll go around. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a lot of people because the last round I went out, it was really amazing how many people came out to see the band. So, and that really warms my heart. The best thing I saw on the last tour written about us was in San Francisco when the critics, who they're usually best at criticizing, was actually nice. And he said, I don't think I've ever seen anything as authentic as that show. And I was like, wow, That is the most beautiful thing. The other one was in Chico, California. We were playing, not the last one. Last show was not as great, but the one before that, we did a show, and it was about 800 people sold out for this room. And they have a theater, but that was the largest room they had.
Right.
And it was in the middle of one of my songs, and something I never experienced before was what you see in shows occasionally is people singing your lyrics back at you, your own lyrics.
Oh, wow.
And I got to tell you, I've been on drumming and I've seen some great stuff, but to hear all of a sudden your own lyrics louder back at you, louder than what you're singing into that mic is something. It was so overwhelming. I just stepped back for a second and I'm letting them go. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, that is amazing.
For an artist, it's the best. It's just so moving.
I can imagine.
I couldn't believe
it. Those are real fans are learning your songs and stuff,
They took it off the singing. I was at Queen, and when Queen, of course you expect it for that. It's Freddie Mercury, of course.
Well, exactly.
Of course everyone's going to sing the Bohemian Rhapsody, right? You never think in a million years they're going to sing to your song. So that's
really fantastic, Lou. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. That's the reason we go out and play. I was talking to your brother, Messenger, and we were talking. He was like, I don't know, I might be too old to play. And I was like, really? Yeah, because you've got, I think of any time ever, you got like the Stones, the Who, and all those guys are out there playing still at some levels.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great time for us to come out there and inspire the young guys, see us play. It's a big difference now. I don't show up and go, I want to shred you on stage and blow you off stage. Now I'm like, I'm calm. I got nothing to prove. I'm going to come on. I'm going to put on a good show, and I want to help you put on a good show too.
Right.
Big difference in maturity.
I've got to ask you about another drummer, Stevie Wonder's drummer, Money Ungo.
I didn't know his name, but I've seen Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, that whole style, that's that kind of that funk, almost like a jazz boom. See, does that? It's all that like that. That is just amazing stuff. I'm going to go back to the black drummers again, and I mean this is a compliment again when I say that. Their hi-hat work is some of the best out there with that right hand. It's called a variation right hand hi-hat. That and then raising that hi-hat just right, you get that. Michael Jackson's drummer, who I was sponsored at Sabian for a very short period before my accident, and I was invited to the VIP where he was playing. Oh my gosh! So you're thinking, oh, no big deal. What's he do, right? Boom, right? That's all you're gonna hear? No. First off, who would be the most difficult timing dancer of all time to have to play behind? Michael Jackson, come on.
I can imagine. Yeah.
How much pressure is that? You better be right. Oh no, you missed one lick. That dude knows where he wants to be on that mark on that stage every moment. Did you watch that movie of his show? Holy cow.
Oh man.
Forget all the bad stuff about him. His musicianship, as far as that's concerned as an artist, was impeccable. And to be the drummer, wow. So Stevie Wonder, it took guys like Stevie Wonder's drummer to begat drummers like Michael Jackson's drummer is my point where I'm going with that. It's a process. It's a process. Just like Ginger Baker. If it wasn't for Ginger Baker, who knows if we would have been playing like
I absolutely loved all of that mid 60s Stevie Wonder and stuff. That was just great music. I really got into it for a while. I've seen Stevie Wonder in concert. I don't know if I told you that or not.
No.
1970.
I saw him on TV.
1971, maybe early 72, not Las Vegas. We were living in Long Beach, California. It was at the Long Beach Arena, downtown Long Beach.
Oh,
it was a Rolling Stones Exile on Main Street concert tour.
Oh, right on.
Exile on Main Street tour. Stevie Wonder opened for him. And what kind of blew my mind and saddened me, because I was such a big fan of Stevie Wonder. I mean, not like the Rolling Stones, of course, but I was a big fan of Stevie Wonder. And when Stevie Wonder was playing, the lights didn't get dimmed. People were still walking back and forth, talking loudly. It was almost like they were ignoring him, like they were just there to see the Rolling Stones. And finally, he actually stood up and said, "I'm going to get out of here and let you hear the band you came to see."
Wow.
He played maybe 7 or 8 songs or something like that. And I felt kind of bad. So when I did one of my Rolling Stones unboxings, vinyl unboxing shows, the first thing I did was unbox Stevie Wonder's greatest hits, just because of what happened that night, you know.
I saw the same thing happen to the Ramones in front of Ozzy Osbourne, and I think it was
Oh,
Phoenix.
okay, yeah.
They were throwing stuff, and you're like,
Oh, you're
okay,
kidding
so
me.
no, they hit him, and so he left the
Oh,
stage
geez.
after 2 songs, and I'm like, I wasn't there to see them either, but you know what? I wanted to see them, and now we missed a piece of history because that was a big part of music, of how music evolved, was because of them, whether you like it or not. The Sex Pistols, all of that was part of music history. So as a musician, I would have loved to have seen the entire show, please, and I paid, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I never understood that. And so what happened? Did they come on earlier? Of course not. We sat there and listened to nothing, you know, because they did that.
Oh God,
So,
I know. Yeah,
people out there, don't do that.
That big void because they left. Hey, how about let's see. Mary brought up something. The very consistent drummer, in her opinion, was John Cousil with the Beach Boys.
Oh wow! So first
Yeah,
off,
that's a pretty iconic band that didn't get brought up, you know.
No, well, and the big thing about them, first off, Central Coast band, Santa Barbara, I believe, right? I think it's Santa Barbara is where they came from.
Yeah, or Ventura, yeah,
somewhere around there, and
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah,
but they create a whole.
They got around. They even sang about how they got around.
Well, I remember that one. You know, but you know, they took that surfer music and that classic, that boom, boom, such a big beat that gets on and on.
Yeah.
Gosh, what would have happened knowing that Funicello?
Right.
Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello.
Frankie Avalon. Yeah.
All the beach blanket bingo movies.
And a lot of that was Dick Dale and the Deltones.
Oh, yeah. Which Pulp Fiction brought back.
Yeah. Well, Dick Dale and the Deltones actually came in and played on all those beach movies, you know, within that Funicello and Frankie Avalon. Now, do you remember? Okay, you know where the what's that club downtown San Luis Obispo? They've since built a bigger one out on Tank Farm or something like that. It was
there's Slow Brew. Are you thinking
Slow Brew? I went. Yeah. I was a big Dick Dale fan, and this was about 7 or 8 years ago. Dick Dale came to Slow Brew, and you could stand. I mean, it's tiny venue upstairs with a stage. I mean, you know, 40, 50 people watching. You just walk up at will and just stand next to the stage and watch Dick Dale play all his great songs, the great surf songs.
I was at the Tiki in Slow, and I got a text from the owner of that club that was around the corner. I'm trying to remember the name of it. That Neil Young was going to play. Don't tell anybody, but Neil Young is going to be on stage. And a lot of people, but by the time I already went across the street, there was a line for me. But I got in.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. I forget that club. They moved it. It was too bad because it was that 2-story. It was kind of funky, poles in the wrong place. Great club though when I first came to Slow. Good stuff like that. But it's like I said, you know, the drumming from the surf music, all that's a big part of it. That was a big, you know, all of those things that we just have been bringing back. And I'm gonna wrap it up with Bonham for me. Why he is. Now, first off, I love Neil Peart. Keith Moon, I get compared to Keith Moon and Gene Krupa the most in the shows I did and stuff. But I feel they're great because they're like I like to consider myself a controlled crash. I'm not a precise drummer. You like to watch me because you're waiting for me to crash like NASCAR. Yeah, that's me.
Right.
It's like you like and that came from my mother originally because she took me to an ice capades. Remember those ice capades?
Oh yeah.
They'd have the Olympic athletes come out after the Olympics, and then they would skate perfectly. And then there'd be this dude that go across the ice and you'd almost fall. And my mother, and I love those guys. Those are the ones I like to watch. I don't want to watch a figure eight. I'm like, oh, there he goes. He's gonna right, young guy. My mother would lean over to me. She'd go, you know what? It's harder to skate like that and look like you're going to fall and not fall than it is to just not fall at all.
Not fall, right.
I never forgot that. So now I'm like, take that chance, break the knuckle,
Right.
And so I attracted those drummers. But John Bonham, without a doubt, is at the top of the heap as far as that type of genre and everything. Yeah, well, his beats, his sound, his beat in Levee Breaks is one of the most sampled drum beats in recording studios today. So what that means to people who don't know what a sample is, that means they take the recording and they put it into keyboards, they put it into other triggers because it can't be replicated by someone else playing it. No one can play it just like that. So they sample it and they put it in other songs because it's that epic of a sound. The way he hit, and the way his drums are. Yes, that's a fact. Jimmy Page even talks about how they put tinfoil in the bass drum in that Castle and recorded some of the tracks. Just weird stuff like that. But that's
experimenting.
Listen to Physical Graffiti. The drums are so in front of the mix. It's crazy, and I absolutely love it. You had those big speakers in your the wattage was that? What was that crazy wattage you said you had in your car?
700 watts.
So I almost remembered. I said 650. That's the weird stuff that I had 8 speakers in my 69 Camaro.
Oh, did you?
8 speakers, which there was no such thing, right? So I went to Radio Shack, put all these speakers in 2 6x9s because they didn't have the big round ones yet.
Right.
And then I got all these switches where you could turn them on and off.
Right. Well, me and another guy built mine too. It was a big long box that went across. It was a Nomad station wagon, so it was a full length.
Oh, beautiful! I probably teared my eye. I get asked. I've been asked. I've lost hearing from all the drumming I've done all the years. And in the Monitor, when we played with God, who was that? I was in the Pods with Social Distortion. I think they were saying they were running like 10,000 watts just on the stage. So. The sound was blowing by us. I was doing backup vocals. I couldn't hear my drums as I hitting them.
Right.
So you'd hear it out of the Monitor with a slight delay. Bam. So you had to watch it as you're playing because you could fall off beat. My point where I'm going with this is that, I was asked once, do I wish I wore earplugs or do I wish they had in-ear back then? No. I appreciate every bit of loss that I gained from that experience because the stages, you don't get that now.
Appreciate every bit of
Mr. Bizarro here. How you doing, buddy?
the stages, you don't get that now.
How you doing?
Okay. How you doing, buddy? Oh, I think you've got to get rid of. Do you have? Are you showing? Okay. Are you showing YouTube across your top bar? That's what
he had his looping. He had his looping
on other people's shows. Up here on the top bar where it says StreamYard, you've also got YouTube. You've got to get rid of YouTube where it's going to just do this. Okay.
He's come. There he is.
How about now? Better now?
Look at that beautiful guitar.
Much better now. All right.
This guy's got Bizarro's got a great show. It's a lot of fun to watch. So
how are you, Lou?
I'm good.
This is Lou Mars, drummer extraordinaire. He's won contests, and you were a reality show. It was Drum Your Way to Hollywood, right? You won that and some other. He drummed for something like, was it 5 days and 4 hours? Do I have that right?
The first one was 108.5 hours. That's 5 days, 4 nights.
And 4 nights. Okay.
And then the second one I broke the team record at 82 hours. That was different than Guinness. But I broke my wrist on day 2 on that one. That was the big thing, and played with the broken wrist.
For another 3 days. For another 3 days.
I played 3 days total on that.
What do you do now, Lou? Are you have your own band, or are you?
I do.
Kind of for hire, or what's your?
Oh, that too. Yeah, I don't like the hired gun thing, but but I'll put it like this. It's funny you mention that because I just had this conversation earlier. I'm kind of like a Brett Favre or somebody who's in the last years before he retired. He doesn't want to get traded to a team that's just starting. He looks for one that's about ready to win the Super Bowl,
Right.
So I jump into those bands. So I'll watch a band. I'm like going, you guys got something going there.
Well, you're in a familiar place. I've spent a lot of time in the back of vans inhaling the farts of my bandmates while we cross the country.
Yeah, but my favorite bus I ever rode in was called the after school bus. It was an old school bus we had, and the hole just went through the floor. So you take a dump, I was going, whoop, there it went right out the back wall. It's good stuff. No, that's brotherly love. Yeah.
So your top 10, I'm not sure where you were, but I was thinking Carmine Appice would
Carmine.
Somebody's top 10.
I saw that.
He was another early double bass pioneer in the rock, Vanilla Fudge era. He was breaking out double bass.
I loved that band when I was a teenager,
I don't know what I did this other pair.
Great.
Well, he's played for a lot of people since then too, right? I mean, he's huge.
Yeah.
Carmine had a thing. I used to hang out with him at the Night Train. That was down in Tucson. He would go down there a lot. There was a band called Little Sister and the Wombleys back in late 80s, early 90s. They were great. But anyways, he would do this thing where he would take the 3 sticks. He would have a third right here. And in his solo, he would go around and play with Carmen.
Yeah.
That was his gig. Yeah, that was one of his
he's
things.
Great. He's great live. I love watching him live. I love the battles between him and his brother.
Powerful drummer.
And I got to see Carmine a few times, but I got to see him at the Cactus reunion in New York.
Wow.
In 06, 07 when they played at the BB King Blues Club right in New York.
Really?
And he did the 6 stick. He like 4 sticks. You think Bonham had it locked down with 4 sticks. Carmine comes out with 6 fucking sticks. Excuse my French. And
that's funny.
And just proceeded to blow the minds of everybody in the room.
I can imagine.
When you watch the old drum solos, that's one of the things you see progress. Is you start out with Gene Krupa, and he's doing the crossovers. He goes into double stroke. Then you got Buddy Rich. He comes around, does the double stroke all the way around, split hand paradiddle. Then all of a sudden, you've got John Bonham. He does a single stroke 6. Now, for the people out there who don't know what a single stroke 6 is, that's the staple Bonham fill. What he's doing is he's doing a triplet with each hand, 1 and a 2 and a. So that big time fill you hear, bump, bump, na 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 na. That's what makes that sound. You just sit there and do a regular single stroke roll, you ain't gonna be Bonham.
I love when he concentrates on the snare and then he backs it up with the bass. He's doing his double bass along with the snare, like on one on the 1 or the 4. He's unique. He had jazz background. Rock drummer. I feel a lot of the best rock drummers, this is opinion, folks, came from jazz. And a lot of people think it would come from the blues. But actually, a lot of these guys that are in our top 10 are jazz drummers that went to rock. And those riffs that John Bonham does, if you study jazz, those are jazz drum riffs that he's turned into rock. Yeah. I always called him a cement mixer with finesse. He had a jazz edge, but he's a very hard hitter. And he could keep that beat, stay in the pocket. He could play each side of the pocket. He's really good at what he did. And we were talking about earlier where possibly the double bass came from, and Louis Bellson always pops into my head because he had the sickest drum kits. He had 2 24s and like a 20-inch kick and some weird triple pedal setup where you could lock 2 of the pedals in at the same time, and it was just a pioneer. And,
and some of these drummers invented, like we talked about Terry Bozzio doing the shark pedals. I actually own, and I've got a photo. I'll try and dig it up and share. I bought the original Octobans that Billy Cobham came up with. That was Billy Cobham, the wizard he was called. That was so like 6-inch heads, and these drums would start like this and go like this, or 8 of them. Tama eventually bought the license and made them. I had the originals without the logos. I bought from him after he got unloaded them. And then now they're pieced in half in 2 other bands.
Yeah, they had that. They had that curve on the end of them.
Well, that came later. Those are
they may have been 5s. It may have been 5s that had that curve at the end of them.
Yeah, the originals just were. They look like pipes, long pipes. Some are like this darn long. But you saw Neil Peart eventually use them. He had some. Van Halen, Alex had some. Everybody. I set mine up like a rocket ship. I had all 8 on the top row. Two 24-inch kicks back then.
You're set up like Nico, where you literally can't even see his face when he's playing drums.
Yeah, it was double. That was back then. Nowadays, I play trap style. I like the Bonham double floor. Double floor with a single tom is kind of the way you can still get in with the hipster look, indie, and then yet still get some power over here. Of course, double kick pedal, but I like to favor a single. I think you get lazy with the double kick, if builds your speed without it.
You were talking about Alex Van Halen, and you were talking about Hot for Teacher. And every time Hot for Teacher, the subject comes up as far as Alex, I feel I have to put a little needle in and say, Billy Cobham was actually the first person to come up with that drum beat.
The shuffle.
If you listen, the Hot for Teacher thing he's doing, but Alex is multi-tracking those drum beats. That's why you're hearing so much. If you listen to Billy Cobham's album Spectrum, the title song Spectrum, you'll get to hear that in full, the actual drum beat, and you can hear where Alex lifted parts of that. And when he hit the studio kind of really made it shine. But
I'm thrilled that we brought Billy Cobham up, because the Wizard. He was another unsung hero that you just don't hear his name that much. And folks out there, if you haven't heard of Billy Cobham,
check out Mahavishnu Orchestra, John McLaughlin and him and Mahavishnu.
And Weckel, God, there's another one. There's a 70s period of drummers that were crossing over at the time, kind of from the jazz, rock, soul, all mixed up fusion that are really cool to check out. Interesting time.
Now there's some interesting crossover type of drummers that I enjoy. Drummers that infuse different styles and bring it into a specific style. Like Stanton Moore is a relatively newer drummer. He's not from 70s or 60s, but he was a jazz taught drummer, straight up jazz drummer. And he was hired into a band called Corrosion of Conformity. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No, I have not.
So they started out as kind of metal, but then in this one particular album, they went into a real bluesy kind of rock. And so they hired Stanton Moore to come in. And I find this album unique. And I'd really like to do like a hyper focus on these type of bands that have these albums that are kind of set apart from their discography, because the idea was so different. But to hear a traditional jazz drummer's take on what rock should sound like is an incredible, it just blows your mind, the things that this guy does. Like in his interpretation of what he hears as rock, it's just on point,
That's totally cool.
Well, that's why I was so thrilled we talked about this on the last show about when Nirvana came out. But it's not Nirvana that I want to talk about this time. It's what was going on right before Nirvana. There was an in-between period there where Warrant was still on the top of the charts. And so you had your 4 on the floor rock drumming. But the rest of us were trying to figure out what's next. So most of us were gambling that the funk rock was the next thing. Jane's Addiction, Chili Peppers, Extreme, we're all kind of heading, Faith No More, we're all heading that way. And I got to tell you, I was one of the drummers in those bands back down. We did the MTV tour, Ball and Chain with Social D and that stuff. And so that those beats where you've got that boom, scat, you got a little bit of that jazz, funking it up with the up on the pop, hi-hat, sizzle it. That's good stuff. And I think that's going to come back. That kind of drumming.
I think it already is back. You just need to look a little deeper than the surface. You were talking about possibly a stagnant time in music, and I just don't see it. If you know where to look, there's always something new and something exceptional to find and something unique. You just got to look below the surface of what people are saying is out there. It's a lot deeper.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. We found, remember when we used to get excited to find a new band and share it with everybody?
Oh yeah.
It's when that stops that you stop finding them.
Yeah, interesting that we talking about Foo Fighters. When that transition happened, when Nirvana took a dive because of Kurt and everything.
Yeah.
I was the first one in I think in the entire city to have the Foo Fighters cassette. And I remember, yeah, cassette. It's like the first I bought it. You know, it was one of his rare. It was one of those low runs where he wrote, you know, the songs on there and everything.
Right.
And I remember just excited as hell to just drive this cassette to every friend I knew and hang out. And you just walk in with this new tape, and nobody knew who he was. You know, they didn't know about Dave Grohl particularly, other than Scream and the other bands he was in before Nirvana.
Yeah.
But to have that kind of edge was really cool at the time, to say, look at this, man. Have you ever heard of this band?
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you'll pick that up too on a band after the fact. You're like the In Rainbows album by Radiohead. I'm not a big Radiohead fan, but that particular album, the drumming on it's phenomenal. And there's a video on YouTube where they call it The Basement. They did the whole thing live in the basement. Watch this drummers out there. He's doing stuff that guys are doing on machines, but he's playing it live. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, a unique drummer and with style. Yeah. So you're also talking about earlier drummers that maybe are extremely proficient but lack in any kind of unique style or vision.
Did we say it that way?
Well, no, I interpreted it and regurgitated it like that, honestly. But
it tasted terrible.
I think there's a big lacking in visual style and individual style.
Woo! You know, I'm going to agree with you there. I judge contests. I'm the guy they call up like, hey, we got a college contest. Let's get Lou Mars. And I can't tell you how many times I see these incredibly proficient college musicians playing it to the letter. And then I'll say, do you know what that song was about? That was about, the song was written about his father dying. And you played it like a math problem.
Right.
You know? So
right.
I agree. And I think that's going to change. I think I agree with you. I think that everything evolves, and I think we get sick of things. I mean, for a while there, we got kicked off of festivals in the later 90s, early aughts, because of the singer-songwriters. Remember all the girls? Dinka, 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 Mary Barry Ellis and all them. They took over the world for a while. Suddenly all of those bands were out of work, you know? Sheryl Crow. I love you guys, but hey, I was out of work because you.
I think when you are specifically taught how to play, what your parameters are as a drummer, when you're spending more time in literature than you are behind the kit, I think by the time you make it out of said school or from said teacher, you can end up being a unique drummer. You can end up having your own style, but you need that to be self-aware, and you need to kind of set some of that musty kind of schoolroom thinking aside. Use it as a tool, but don't let it be the thing that guides you as a drummer.
Well put. That's an argument discussion I've had a lot in the past too. You can be overtaught. Music theory is fantastic, and there's a purpose for it. George Harrison of the Beatles couldn't even read music, and he wrote some pretty good stuff. So, with that said, I think sometimes it's use it like a dictionary as a reference. We don't read the dictionary, memorize it. We can't know words, so we look it up. That's how you should take music. Play with your heart first and your soul. Be a champion.
Yeah.
Connect with your crowd.
For me, it was most of my experience came from just literally picking up a pair of drumsticks. My brother had a band at the time. I was playing on his drummer's kit and in the bedroom. Actually, I think the first song I ever learned on drums was "I'll Wait" by Van Halen. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Remember the big fill loop? And I was so proud that I could knock that fill out. But later on,
that's so cool though.
It's great. My point being, later on, I started taking some classes and I started seeing a teacher, and he tried to unteach what I didn't learn properly. And so there was always a clash between myself and the book side of drumming. And he didn't like that I wouldn't empty my head and let him teach me again the proper way. And I think that's kind of what gave me my fluidity and style, was just not listening to that structure, using it for what it is, and using it as a tool. You're pulling it out of your bag of tricks, but not letting it define you. And,
right.
I catch myself being whimsical as a drummer sometimes and overplaying, over cyclical. You know what I mean, with your movements and stuff. But it's so fun, and it really puts a vibe out to people. You know.
Right.
Absolutely.
You can sit there tight and just use your tendons and all the stuff you're supposed to use as a reaction, and but sometimes I like to force it a little bit. It's just more fun, I think, for me.
Well, yeah, and if it's not true to you, I mean, if you're not a Neil Peart, don't try to play like a Neil Peart, like they say, and don't be you. I will never be Neil Peart. I'm a fast, sloppy drummer that likes to put on a show, and that's my thing. It sells tickets, and I can keep time enough that I keep my job in the studio. There's guys that nowadays they got machines that do 2 measures and they loop it anyways. But
right,
as Jimmy Page said, "Stairway to Heaven today wouldn't exist because it speeds up." So there's something to be said about authenticity, and what I like about what you just said, that was authenticity. You're being authentic to yourself, and that's greatness. Your teacher was wrong.
And I think that's what people see in the end is who you are as a drummer, not what you know, but what you are as a drummer.
Are you having a good time? Are you, when I saw Ringo play, I wasn't thinking about, wow, that's some technical drumming. I was like, that looks amazing. It looks fun.
Solid.
Look at girls screaming.
Yeah, I got to see. There was a conversation earlier about Sheila E. in the chat.
Oh,
and
I saw her live.
I got to see Sheila E. and Ringo when he's doing his all-star band in Atlantic City in New Jersey back in I think it was 02, 03.
That's awesome.
Just what a panel of stars! It was a great show to see. But again, you don't watch Ringo to be blown away by his technical acumen. You watch him to see how he can just bring everything together and hold it down. He's very good at holding that down. Very good in the rhythm section. Exceptional as a rhythm. Yeah.
Again, look what he did. I was in a Beatles band in my 20s. And that's all we played was Beatles. And I got to tell you, that's a tough job. I was in a Stones band too later on. But the Beatles, his beats were not just straight up beats. They were percussion. He was a percussionist that played drums. He was a left-handed drummer that played a right-handed kit. There's a whole nother bizarre thing.
Yep.
There's so many tales about him. He's great. He's not my favorite drummer, but I just don't like him being bagged so much. That's why I back him up.
People give him shit because they don't think he's good. That they're not hearing.
Right.
We're not hearing what we hear, as a drummer. I can pick out what he's doing and what makes him unique, It used to be easy to kind of rip on him. When you were younger, you wanted flash and you wanted a 30-piece kit with, 8 rototoms and, a bunch of big 24-inch kicks. And then you see Ringo. Ringo's got a 4-piece, maybe a 3-piece, depending on what he's playing.
Yeah.
And you're pissed off because he's not giving you enough. But as you age, hopefully later on in life, you start to see those kind of things for what they are. And he's a good drummer.
Let's take a look at Buddy Rich's kit. It was not that big, and that guy was fast as hell. Right?
No, he was incredible. Yeah. So we were talking about left-handed drummers earlier too, and I'm a left-handed drummer.
Right on.
Maybe at some point we could have a subject revolving around left-handed drummers because we were talking about Phil Collins and his Brand X days is where I really dig him and
right.
But I thought it's interesting. Left-handed drummers don't get enough. They really don't get enough actually from the drumming world.
Well, and bringing up Phil Collins, one thing about that I always struggled with is I was one of the writers always in the band, and before I was doing guitar and keyboards and stuff like that, it was hard to get credit. A lot of times people are like, well, you're a drummer. You don't write songs.
Yeah.
Actually, we do. And John Bonham's a great case. Ringo wrote many of the songs that were his idea. Same with the drummer from Queen. He wrote several of the Queen songs that were big hits. Actually, some of them bigger than Freddie's.
Roger Taylor, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. We couldn't remember his name earlier.
Yeah.
Gosh. And
Roger Taylor is he's a unique drummer, Roger Taylor. I like him because he's an extremely heavy drummer. Have you ever seen his attack on the snare, Lou? Have you ever seen him, how he hits the snare? He uses the entire stick except for just what he's holding in his hand.
He hits a rim shot at the same time.
Just about, yeah.
No, that's a technique. Yeah, we used to pop. There's a technique where you lay down flat. When we got rid of the going with the concert style, we went to match grip. we started hitting at the beginning flat down to get that rim. That's where you got that, you know, before we had reverse envelopes do it for us, those other drummers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how you hit that. And I do that to this day. I'll rim shot it, you know, technically. Yeah, I love him. Huge Queen.
He had that big snare. He had that big snare. It was an 8-inch or 9-inch deep snare.
Great vocalist, writer. You know, another one. I mean, all those high backup vocals. You're backing up Freddie Mercury.
Yeah,
Him. Holy crap!
He's higher. Freddie couldn't even hit that register. Yeah.
The end of Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, that's him. He's way up there.
Yeah,
crazy.
He's great.
For real.
He is great.
Yes, and Phil Collins was backing up Peter Gabriel. Who does that, right?
Yeah,
that's
and
why
then
he sounds so much like him.
Well, he had Chester Thompson with him when he was in Genesis when they were doing their duel, and Chester Thompson we know played for Zappa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think Terry Bozzio was originally with Zappa as well. I think that might be possible.
He played around the Baby Snakes era, so I think 77, 78, I think, just off the top of my head.
Terry's badass. If you want to watch him on what I feel his prime, is not when he did all these. He got he went too far with all that. Every drum must be tuned to
octaves.
a note.
Yeah, he had his drums tuned in octaves, yeah.
Sounds like
Sorry, Terry. Sorry, Terry. You know I love you.
Yeah.
I love you, brother. You know that. But to me, vintage Terry, Missing Persons, Us Festival, he tells the band to cover all their gear with black plastic, put him front left. No drummer had sat like that, quite like that. And then he just shines, man. He just watch him go in those fills, mental hopscotch on. He's going around these double strokes. Woo! Good stuff. Watch that.
Excellent drummer. Yeah, he is an excellent drummer. And you know, you were talking about his form and attack, how he plays. You're talking about how he has his legs up in the air. If you've seen, now I saw Terry. The first time I saw Terry was when Zappa played their first show in the States. The night before they played in Oslo, and the next night they played in Philadelphia at the Tower. Wow. And Terry Bozzio was a guest drummer, and he had this massive kit set up stage right at the front. And it had like 8 tarps over it to cover this gargantuan setup, you know, because he's got everything set in octaves, you know what I mean? And we just knew it was him. And when he pulled that thing off, he did Black Napkins, he did trying to grow a chin, and all like the songs he did back with Zappa. What an incredible drummer. He can wear you out. He can wear you out watching him. He's extremely technical. And
I mean, to me, I like the drums should tell a story. His stories went too long, in my opinion. They started too slow and took too long to develop. You know, he did that. Boom, boom.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I'm too ADD.
The 20-minute solo he does on his own. Yeah, yeah. And if you're looking for that kind of thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish.
I was going to say, if you're into that kind of thing, and there is a place for it, and I do enjoy watching it, but I think it has its limits live, unless you are doing a seminar possibly, or if you're the only person that's being showcased, and I could see staring at doing that. I digress.
No, I want to go back to talk about, you brought up some good points about, I'm a teacher. A music teacher, so I want to touch on that a little bit because you hit a nerve for me on that one there that I want to address. I deal with a lot of autistic children, and I feel like, again, in my opinion, a lot of these children do need medication. I'm not going to get in trouble for this, so put that aside. But a lot of them need to play. I feel like if Hendrix was around today, he would have been on Focal, and we wouldn't have had Hendrix, perhaps. Don't dummy these kids down. If you got a kid that's bouncing off the walls, first off, take the big gulp out of his hand, get the sugar down, and then number 2, put him on a drum kit. Let him play. They were going to put me on Ritalin when I was a kid. My mom was smart enough to go, you know what? He's tapping on everything. Let's give him a kit. And the rest is history. I would have been drugged up on Ritalin for who knows how many years. Instead, I got to become a drummer. And what a difference that decision made. So my message to a lot of the people out there is, you know, try some of these natural things first. And one of the best natural cures of anything is music. If that instrument doesn't work for a particular person, try another instrument. If that teacher isn't working, switch teachers. It makes a big difference, as you found. I was sour on the piano for years because I had the lady that would hit my knuckles with a pencil. Like, wow, this piano sucks, you know.
Hey guys, let me introduce my good friend here, Dan McNew. He's got some shows. Hey Dan, you
like his background.
Just the facts, and you got another name for one of your shows, don't you? Not just the facts, but
well, the actual YouTube address is youtube.com/askadan.
Yeah. Dan used to manage a band called Aska.
Yeah.
And he was like best friends. He was best friends with Dimebag Darrell and his brother Vinny back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Great.
Are you the one that's friends with Mark Slaughter? Is this
No.
No.
Yeah. No, that's Pat Lucero. He grew up with Mark Slaughter in Vegas, where I grew up. Yeah. We all went to the same cake parties at one time.
That's good enough. Nice to meet you, Dan.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Dan. I just wanted to
brother Bizarro here. You know, he's got a great show too. You need to check that guy out too. He's got I really enjoy his show. He plays great music that you don't hear anywhere else. You know.
Thank you.
Well, you talk about drummers tonight, and the most famous drummer I know is Vinnie Paul. He was amazing.
Now, Dan, have you gone to any of Vinny's famous barbecues?
Oh yeah.
He was known for cooking. I heard he was a really good cook.
Well, I got a story about that too. Back in 2004, when Damage Plan was they're actually on hiatus for a couple of weeks. I threw a party out at the lake, and I invited Dime and Vinny, but Dime had to go to a David Allen show that night, and Vinny said he would show up. Well, he forgot the name of the lake. They both started with an L.
That's awesome.
You know, I was at Louisville Lake. He was at Lake Levant, so they're both L's. And so he just parked. He said he just parked the limo and went fishing. And he invited me down to the clubhouse later on that night. So after the party, we all met up at the clubhouse until they shut us down. Then we go to Vinny's house, and he all night long he was cooking, making fish tacos from the fish he caught earlier in the day.
That's great.
Yeah,
good time.
Yeah, epic. He was known for his killer barbecue, and
oh yeah.
I don't know any of this. This is why these shows are great.
Well, in fact, on the back of my shirt here, this I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was their drink of choice, their Blacktooth Grin drink that they mix up. And I think he got that from a Megadeth song, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Right on.
Sweating Bullets. I think it came from that.
I've had a few of those.
There's a guy we forgot to mention tonight was Lars.
Yeah,
Lars.
He brought the double kick back. You know, he made that San Jose band. They made a bit of a point there. There was no radio airplay, but you knew who he was.
Yeah,
right.
That in itself is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah.
They didn't get any radio support. You know?
Right.
And didn't matter. Their crowd bought every one of those darn albums they put out. That's fantastic.
That's exactly right. I've got several myself.
Yeah. There's something to be said about that.
I had a double album, and they came out with kind of a colored vinyl, still dark but colored with swirls. I bought that one too because I wanted to.
I saw them with Guns N' Roses on that tour. You know, when they were doing that.
Oh yeah, no. I had tickets to see them with Guns N' Roses at the Cow Palace years ago in San Francisco, and my oldest daughter talked me out of the frickin' tickets. Her and her girlfriend.
I saw them in Denver.
And I regret it to this day. You can only do so much for your kids, you know.
You know, speaking of Lars, last night I went and saw a show. It's a Metallica tribute band, and the singer used to be our treasurer at Right for Dime, and but he's got his own band. They're pretty good, but you can't compare to Lars.
Oh, yeah. The guy he's copying.
Dan organized a motorcycle ride, an annual motorcycle ride for Dimebag Darrell called Ride for Dime.
Yeah.
Was that right?
I think at some point you were approached by Ozzy Osbourne's wife, Sharon, And she wanted you to organize a ride for somebody. You were doing so good with Dime, you know.
That's cool.
Well, they had Ozfest here in Frisco, Texas, in 2008 or 2009. No, 2008.
Okay.
And she wanted me to reenact another ride for Dime the day before we did the actual ride. So I had to do 2 rides in one weekend. And she said that she would give us a donation that would put our organization at a whole nother level, and would give us control of the 3rd stage. Well, as time went on, I noticed she was adding bands to the 3rd stage. I'm going, wait a minute, you know. So we went ahead and did the ride. Once the motorcycles arrived, then Ozfest started, which is pretty cool. And then we never got a penny from Sharon.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that ended with Sharon fucking you. Yeah. Well, that's usually how it ends. That's usually how it ends.
What she told us was she didn't become a millionaire by giving her money away.
Oh yeah.
She actually told you that? Oh my God.
Yeah. Same way her dad made all his money.
Yeah.
I can almost hear the accent. Yeah.
But the good came, a lot of good came out of it because we got a lot of publicity. And the next year it was killer. The next year we had Ace Frehley, Vinnie Paul, Corey Taylor, Machine Head. We had a lot of people the next year because what happened the year before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to see Alice Cooper and Ace Frehley April 23rd and being a Robles amphitheater in Paso Robles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, Alice is still kicking ass. Man, he actually sounds good. I can't believe it.
He does. I know.
You see footage of this guy in the early '80s when he's literally a walking corpse. And you're like, how did this guy make it?
Walking corpse.
I mean, he looked bad.
The cocaine period,
he's come close to dying, I guess.
Yeah.
He's very open about that. Yeah, that was what the whole Flush the Fashion tour was about.
Yeah,
he was dropping that.
Right.
Yeah, same way that album should have went. It's down the toilet.
Yeah. I know.
Too much alcohol.
Speaking of first 8 tracks, though, in my car it was $1 Billion Babies. That was my first 8 track.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that was great. The way you throw that doll up and spike it, I was in love right there. I mean,
he was great, dude.
And then lands on the mic stands a sword. I thought it was one over right there.
Yeah, he's scared. You look at him now and you're like, he's messing with plastic baby heads, but back then he scared the shit out of me, man. It was great.
It was a great show. The whole thing was a theater. Right. I love the glam period, and there's an argument, about
it was fun.
The Bowie and all that. So, remember the New York Dolls? They all dress like women.
Right. Well, and it's streamed all day long on MTV. And my favorite was Headbangers Ball later at night.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I believe, speaking of bands, like you brought up the band that played Woodstock that had never played before, which was what, Santana?
Santana had never released an album before.
I didn't know. See, now my understanding is that Madonna, and I believe it was Tears for Fears, and I think the other one is Simple Minds, and I think one more is Aha, because of MTV, had not played on stage and went double platinum before they ever went on stage. Don't quote me on all of those, and I know Madonna was the one for sure. She had not played a live show, and her album went double platinum because of MTV, and that had never happened before.
That's amazing.
Power of television. Ozzy found that out with his show. Ozzy Osbourne's quoted saying,
he sure did.
Being a rock star was big, but this reality show stuff, man. He goes,
I hope you're not talking about his current reality show.
I haven't seen it. Is he still on?
They got a new show where his son asks him and his wife questions. It's kind of like
just guitars and drums and instruments in here, no TV. Stuff to kill you.
It's actually hard to watch. I tried a couple of times. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think they're chasing ghosts and they're ghost hunting and shit like that.
Yeah, it's just strange stuff. I mean,
that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Yeah, I was embarrassed watching it.
Oh man.
Well,
So-
look, I don't want to take all your guys' time up. I just want to come in and hang out for a little while, meet
no,
Lou, and
this is great. I
Before we
appreciate
go-
you showing up.
yeah.
Before we go, let's do a quick round robin.
Okay.
This is opinion only, and this is not about the best drummer. Your personal experience of the best drum solo you ever saw. You saw the solo at a show, no matter who it was, and you were like, wow, that was cool. Who was it? What band was it?
I'd have to go with Rush, Neil Peart.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. Yeah.
Every time I saw him.
Yeah, the great solos. I saw them twice.
Mm.
What do you got? What do you got, Bizarro?
I was gonna say Rush, but since that's already taken, killer drummers. Well, I did see that COC show live with Stanton Moore playing drums, and he did a combination solo of like a rock / jazz solo. It was it was pretty heavy solo. Like he was basically showing you just about everything he knew. I know he's a little bit unknown, but I have to say, right off the top of my head, Stanton Moore really blew my mind live.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No, I could see that. Well, I saw Led Zeppelin, and I gotta say, I've never heard anything like thunder out of speakers like that live, and I've never seen so many people at the same time playing along with this guy. So I'm gonna go with John Bonham, Moby Dick.
Well, you know,
song title.
Sadly, Zeppelin and Hendrix have always been 1 and 2 for me, and I never got to see either one of them in concert. And I would have went John Bonham in a heartbeat. But having said that, let's see. That's kind of a tough one. I enjoyed so many different. Some of the best drummers I ever saw. I don't remember the names of the bands. They weren't even the headliners. You know. Let's see here. No, I enjoyed watching the Rolling Stones drummer.
Oh, Charlie.
I seen the Stones twice in concert, Long Beach Arena, and that was the Exile on Main Street tour, and the other one was in Portland, Oregon, and that was the Bridges to Babylon tour. And I really enjoyed watching Charlie Watts play. And I'm not going to say he's the greatest drummer. I'm not going to say I'd pick him over John Bonham or anything like that, but I just enjoyed watching him play. And
Well, he does solo occasionally. He did, and when he did, he was very Buddy Rich like. A lot on the snare,
yeah,
a lot of really fast rudiments.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Buddy.
I saw Buddy Rich at Disneyland.
Oh wow.
Wow.
No, that's crazy.
Now I will
My
say
first
that I
son.
just finished up. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I just finished up reading Danny Seraphine's book, the drummer from Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty interesting book if you like reading that.
I might have, I love Chicago, but unfortunately, we were partaking in some things, me and my friends, before we got to the Las Vegas. Before we got to the Las Vegas Convention Center, we took our seats and our backs were up against the concrete walls as far away as you could get from the stage. And I told my friends, I said, I'm going to go find a better seat. And as I was going down the stairs, I was holding people along the aisle to keep from falling.
oh no.
Sometime later, I woke up staring at the ceiling, and I was like, where am I? And I put my head up, and they were rolling big trash cans around. They were sweeping, and I was on 5 seats in the front row. So I found a better seat, 5 of them.
You were on a stretcher, but hey.
Did you guys talk about Buddy Miles at all? Because I had a really quick story before I rolled out about Buddy Miles.
I saw Buddy Miles. Yeah, we did. I saw Buddy Miles in concert at the Las Vegas Convention Center.
Oh wow!
Talked about
Interesting.
how Them Changes was out, and I had that 8-track.
Badassery.
He did an interesting solo.
He was good. I almost said Buddy Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His solos are interesting. They're not
Yeah.
they're not multifaceted, but again, he's another cement mixer kind of drummer. He's really fun to watch do a solo.
Don't forget
Right,
the famous Keith Moon solo where he had the goldfish in the floor.
The goldfish. Yeah, when you brought up the Vista lights, I was thinking of the Vista light conversation. I said I remember that one where he said it. And he's playing with platform shoes. It's got to be 8 inches tall. You know what I mean? And he's just hammered.
Oh,
But,
I love when he used to duct tape the headset to his head because he would fly off.
Yeah,
That's just fantastic fodder. I mean,
it's great. It is great. Gaffer's tape of all things. Lou, they use freaking gaffer's tape on this dude's head, man. Can you believe it?
There's a story of him in the airport when he was in line, and it took so long he started taking his clothes off, and he got arrested. That's a famous story. He's totally nude by the time he got up in customs.
The Buddy Miles story that I read was when he would record in the studio, the engineers had to hide all the microphones because he would steal everything that wasn't nailed down to sell. Yes, true story. They were afraid, all the 57s and Telefunkens that he ripped off in the data.
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's sad.
That's really funny.
Feed him.
It's like the dark side of drumming, man. But anyway, look, it's great meeting you, Dan.
Good seeing you.
And Lou, it's great meeting you.
Peace out,
and thank
man.
you, Royce, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Any time, man.
Absolutely. And continue your conversation. I'm going to listen from the peanut gallery. Continue, please.
All right.
And Lou, take care, my friend.
We're probably close to shutting
Much
down.
respect.
Thank you very much.
It's good meeting a fellow drummer. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Likewise.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good
Thank
seeing
you.
Good seeing
Thanks
you,
for joining us.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I was only going to be here for an hour.
I know.
So
You were going to leave 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, you got this drum talking going, get me all fired up.
Yeah. I knew we'd trap you for a little longer if
I could talk with drums all day long, all week long. It's been my life. It's been a career, and I'm very blessed for that. That's something I love has been there. And the one thing I want to say, one more thing about the teachers out there, because I want to push that again. If your kid is going like this on the guitar and you keep telling them to play guitar, give them a drum set. I get these parents all the time. I want Johnny to play guitar. The kid's tapping on the guitar and he doesn't want to play guitar. I said, what do you want to play? Drums. Why aren't you playing drums? Oh, my dad said if I play guitar, then I get to play drums. Like, what? So listen to your kids out there, folks, and let them play what they want to play and go from there. Anyways, enough of that. Off my soapbox on that.
I got to say something about drums too. I was at the show last night, and probably the worst part of the show is the sound check. Oh my God. Bam, 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 bam.
It doesn't even, and that's not even necessary anymore. I mean, that's old school sound check there. They should, you click the edge anymore. You just tap, tap, tap. You're not supposed to do that anymore because of that. Just because of that. Yeah.
I mean, 30 minutes of it. Oh my God. Come on, guys.
Yeah, no, that's a little much. 30 minutes. That's half the concert.
Yeah, no, there's some great footage. Speaking of that, when Nirvana did Unplugged MTV.
Oh yeah,
and they're taking long to get the sound check on that. There's that.
Right.
Great stuff with him where he just turns around and is like, you know what? Let's just play. This is taking too long.
I have that on CD. Live in New York, MTV Unplugged Nirvana, and I've got the double album set as well. But that CD, I'll put that in my truck and I'll listen to that thing for like weeks. It might stay in there for a couple of months. I love that. Great
performance.
CD.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park, and they're starting to release the chatter. Yeah. The chatter in between, the way he just like spins and Cobain spins in that chair and just kind of looks, and then he says these most interesting things. And I just I find that fascinating. I like being on stage because that's where my home is. So I like seeing that stuff. It's very interesting to me. Yeah, fascinating. Well, I'm going to check out, guys.
Okay.
Dan, pleasure meeting you. Thank you for coming on board. Yeah, I'm going to have to work on my background. He's slick.
Hey,
Royce,
Lou,
as always, thank you for having me on.
We'll get together again soon, brother.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun when you come on.
My people talk to your people.
Yeah, we'll get it all set up.
Right on. You guys have fun. Wrap it up good.
Take care.
Okay,
take care. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Lou Mars. There's a link up at the top of the chat for his book, and another link for his lessons and bio and things like that. He's really a fun guy. He's from my area. I've ran into him. We've been friends on Instagram and Facebook for a while, he's always talking about music, and I'm always trying to promote either my construction business, the fact that we sell real estate, or my shows, you know. And we've liked each other's comments and stuff like that. I finally said, I need to get this guy on the show, you know. And he's traveling across country in his van. When he came on last week, he was in San Diego. When I talked to him a couple of days ago, he was pulling into New Orleans. And I thought he was in New Orleans tonight. He's actually already, what was it, Palm Beach, Florida. Traveling across country. Yeah, no, I'm kind of envious. I'd like to be doing that myself right now. So Dan, so you were at a what I just saw that right before I came on the show. It popped up on Facebook when I was trying to load things and get ready for the show and stuff like that. And you made a video of it.
Yeah, we got a great venue out here in the colony. It's, you know, mile and a half from my house.
Gotcha.
And, you know, there's not a whole lot of, you know, major names that come out here. I mean, Snoop Dogg's been out there before, but here lately, all it's been is like tribute bands. Yeah. And yesterday morning, I was going through Facebook and I saw Lava Cantina had the ad for last night's gig. And it's the AC/DC tribute band called Back to Black.
Right.
I thought, you know, I just got my new camera, and I thought, you know, and I want to do concerts with it. So I thought, you know, I'll run down there and do a concert real quick. But I noticed at the bottom, the opening act was Metallica tribute band called Kill 'Em All. Well, I know the singer and guitar player in that band, you know. So I called him up. So I got there early and, you know, stuck in the gate and everything. And you know, it was good. He actually used to be the treasurer and secretary for Ride for Dime back.
Gotcha.
07 and 08. And so, yeah, it was good to see him again. And as far as the 360-degree camera, I'm still working on the software on that stuff. Very intricate, you know.
Well, I was going to ask you if it was a 360-degree camera that you were getting.
Well, the video you saw that I posted, that was actually from my cell phone.
Yeah. You know, what blows my mind about that camera you've got is, I told you a friend of mine, Kevin Loves Tacos, has one. And he posts videos, and I couldn't figure out what he was doing because there was overheads of him while he's riding his bike through town, and he's going to all these Mexican restaurants. Now they're all inviting him back for free tacos because they're getting free advertising. He's got a hell of a thing going. But I mean, that camera was just like, it was like he had a drone overhead, you know, and filming all around, and it was like, how in the hell is he doing that? And I finally asked him about it, and he told me what it was, and this was just a couple of weeks ago. He told me what it was, and I looked it up online and stuff like that, you know, see how much they were and everything, because that would be fun. I'm not ready right now. I got it. I mean, it's just it's surprising how long it takes, you know, to get ready for your show. You know? Yeah, true. All the stuff you get together and all the time you spend doing it. And I'm just, but that would be fun, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it, because when I see Kevin doing it, it's just crazy all the stuff it does.
You know, I bought a 10-foot selfie stick. I haven't used it yet. But I did a shot yesterday out near Lava Cantina. They got a little small lake right there, and it's really built up really nice. And you're walking along the sidewalk, and I've got my pole with my camera on the end of it over the water. So now when you look at the video, it looks like the camera is floating over the water, and you can see me walking up on the sidewalk. and the stick is invisible, you know, so you don't even see the stick.
I know, that's so crazy. I've never seen anything like it, you know.
I
think some of them you can submerge them up to so many meters too, can't you?
Yeah. The one I have, you can go underwater 30 feet, and it's
30 feet. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'd be a little afraid to do that, but
I'm not going to do that. If I have it outside, and it gets, you know, wet from the rain, that's fine. I'm not going to deliberately put it underwater.
You're not going to strap it to a helmet and go surfing or anything.
No. It's too expensive.
I know. Exactly. Too expensive. Yeah. So we've been having fun. I've been working on some guests, and you know, a friend of mine, he puts on the Jazz Festival in Vegas every year. It's a three-day festival. He does it every year. And he grew up in Vegas, and he's older than me. But I bought one of my daughters his book. You know, it's called The Promoter, So Many Years Behind the Camera, or something like that. I just had it up earlier, but he gave her an autographed copy of it and stuff like that. And that thing is full of pictures. He's sitting there with John Lennon at a table, and they're getting drunk and laughing and stuff. And he produced so many. I mean, everybody from like Willie Nelson. I mean, the list is just like who's who in bands and stuff. You know, he produced all these shows all these years. He was like one of the prime, you know, promoters. for a while the only one in Vegas that had a promoter's license, because there was some trouble at a concert and they made him harder to get, and he wound up being the only one with one. And I was reading a little bit out of his book today, and I'm trying to get him on bad, and unfortunately I tried to talk him into coming on another show about a year ago. He actually didn't do it, and but so I don't know, it just seems harder now to communicate with him on it. But anyway, and then I Gary Bang, Aftermarket Motorcycle Parts. At one time when I was 18 years old, I had a Harley Davidson. I walked into a Harley shop, and there was one whole wall in the Harley shop that said Gary Bang Parts. It was a red package with plastic on them. And he was, at that time, I mean, this is like 1971. He was the largest maker of aftermarket parts for Harley Davidsons. And then later on, he built a Harley shop here in Atascadero, where I live. And we became friends. And he's a great guy, and he's got a million stories. He's one of what they call the let's see, what do they call them? It's a group, and Peter Fonda leads the group, and all these custom bike builders and custom parts makers, custom chrome, and all these manufacturers. They're all the guys that own those are all part of that group, and he's part of that group, and he's been inducted into the Motorcycle Hall of Fame. And there's a lot of stories out there about him. But one thing he did for me is they were having a big sale at his Harley shop. And I went in there and I was, checking some stuff out, and my truck is lifted. I bought it that way. It's just really high. I went out and climbed in my truck, and somebody had parked their bike behind me, a full dresser, an ultra classic. I put it in reverse, just bang. I look in the rearview mirror, and his bike is going like this on its kickstand. I went, oh my God. Now I got to go in there and ask like 50 different people if that's their bike, And finally, I find the right guy. I go, you got the blue Ultra Classic outside? He goes, yeah. Why? Why do you want to know? I go, we need to go outside and talk. We went outside and we go over to the bike, and it's kind of fucked up. But I said, hey man, I'm sorry, I didn't even see it, And Gary Bang was standing about, I'm going to say, 75 feet away talking to somebody, and so I'm standing there talking to this guy, and Gary goes, Royce, I'll be right there, and he comes running over there. He goes, what happened? I go, God damn, Gary, I didn't even see the bike parked behind my truck. I backed right into it. And he goes, take off. I'll take care of it.
Wow.
As I got in my truck and left and never heard another word, And I mean, that's the kind of guy Gary was. I mean, it was just, and I'd bought a brand new Ultra Classic from him and stuff like that, but he's just a great guy, and he's getting older now. And I just want to get him on here and make him famous, have him to tell some motorcycle stories,
Yeah. I've got a friend like that here in Dallas, Rick Fairless.
Oh, yeah?
He runs a place called Strokers.
Oh, okay.
He's been in business for about 20 years now out there.
Yeah.
And he has hundreds of these custom bikes that I would never ride, but
right.
He lives and breathes that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a guy around the corner from me that owns they manufacture these huge scissor lifts, the biggest one made.
Oh yeah.
They have warehouses in Europe and stuff. That they're the only ones that can work on this super jumbo jet thing and stuff, And but so he's got all this, he's got a big machine shop that makes big, he's got warehouses full of these big lifts. And I've seen trucks going down the road with, a dozen of them packed on there, But he built 2 custom choppers a few years back, and he took one of his to a show where all the big bike, Orange County choppers, all the big bike builders brought their best bike to the show. And my neighbor won first place, the bike he built. Next time I see him out and about, I'll see if I can take some pictures of him, put it online. Yeah, he's a great guy too. He got a lot of friends that are Hell's Angels. He donates to all their causes, and they all watched the last episode of Sons of Anarchy together and things like that, And so anyway, it was fun.
Yeah, my friend Rick, he helped me out in 2007 since he has the big lot right there. The starting point for Ride for Dime that year was from his bike shop.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He actually had he had a reality TV show there for a while called Ma's Roadhouse.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of familiar. I've been on what was it called, the Love Ride? And that was down in Southern California, and I think it was Jay Leno led that ride.
Yeah.
And he wound up at a big park down there, and Sheryl Crow was playing, and some other band played too. Yeah, it was kind of fun. Went down there, went to that thing. But Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to branch out a little bit. It gets more fun when you get different topics.
I was going to try something here. Does my audio sound odd?
No, I think it sounds okay. We had an echo at one time. I don't know if it was Lou or Brother Bizarro or who it was, but
I got my soundboard here. I got a bunch of effects on it.
That sounds odd.
Does it?
Yeah, it does now. Yeah.
What about now?
Okay, so wait, say something again.
Test 1, 2.
Yeah, it's still odd. Yeah, not quite.
Okay, I should be back to normal here.
That's normal. That's normal. Yeah.
Got a new
Back
toy
to
here.
normal. There's a lot of good tribute bands out there. There was a couple in town recently. One of them I'd seen before, Wild Child. That was a Doors impersonator, and the guy was really good. I seen him about 30 years ago. I was really surprised when I saw that they were back in town a few weeks. I didn't go see him this time. And then Led Zeppelin was back in town a few weeks ago. And that would have been kind of fun, having never got to see Led Zeppelin, just to kind of make the comparisons,
There's something strange about the industry because, back in the 90s when I managed ASCA, the thing that clubs always ask was, how many originals do you have?
Right.
Well, we don't have any originals. Well, then we're not booking you. We,
right.
Well, but we can play AC/DC. We can play. No, we don't want cover bands.
We want original.
They want originals.
Wow.
And so after a while, they started slowly evolving a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, you can play some of your cover tunes as long as you play so many originals, and
right.
And now they don't care about originals. It's all cover. It's all, they call them tribute now. Tribute bands.
Tribute bands. Exactly. I saw a Beatles tribute band. Oh, it's probably been a year and a half now. Beatles tribute band, and they were pretty good. It was fun. Let's see. What was I going to ask you? Okay, I wanted to ask you about copyright again. So you did some filming. Is that going to go on like a show or? Well, you're not on YouTube though, are you? I think you get away with more on Facebook than on YouTube, right?
Yeah. In fact, last night, I can't remember if it was my live upload, my live show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a copyright strike, but it was a copyright claim.
Oh yeah. Claim. Yeah. And those are the ones where if you were monetized and you were getting paid, you'd have to share it with.
Yeah. Somebody. Right now they said that it's only being monetized in certain countries. And
gotcha.
this is a tribute band playing. It's not even an original band,
but
it is somebody's tune. They said, but if it's a third party involved in this, I can dispute it and they'll share the earnings with me.
Yeah. So Denise, the echo was Bizarro. I wondered about that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, she said one of your voices when you were playing with your mic was kind of creepy sounding.
I got 24 different settings on that.
Oh, do you? Well, I had fun one time. I walked into Guitar Center down in Hollywood, and I likened it to the original Star Wars bar scene. I mean, that's what the people looked like lined up at the wall of guitars, all trying to play guitar. But when I went in there, let's see, where was I going with this? I walked into Guitar Center. Okay. They had this voice box where you could set it at whatever you wanted to. You could sound like you could sing in Darth Vader's voice. You could sing in Elvis's voice, any voice you could think of, you could sing in that voice. And I played with that for a while. Boy, I wanted one after that, but I never got one because that would have been a lot of fun. You could sound like the Chipmunks singing,
Yeah, weird thing is when I do this, I can't hear it myself. So I don't know what it sounds like.
Hey, Denise, are you sure it was Mr. Bizarro? That sounds kind of familiar. Oh man.
Caitlin had a copyright issue.
Oh, okay, really? Was that with the Monkees, the guy that played with the Monkees some? Let's see, Denise. Mr. Bizarro probably had multiple windows open. Yeah. YouTube being that's right. When he first came on, he definitely had YouTube playing because he was way behind everybody or ahead of everybody or something. Then he went off and came back on and he sounded better. But then we had that echo thing going on too. Yeah. So can't quite figure it out, but yeah. But Denise, I appreciate you coming and interacting and everything with everybody. And I think I'm about to sign off for the night. We started at 6:30, 2.5 hours ago now, and for some reason I thought the show might last an hour tonight. That never happens though.
Oh, Denise said my last effect sounded like I was at an announcer at a baseball game. What I'm going to do, I'm going to write down each one of these effects so I know which one to turn to. Because, like I said,
Exactly.
the way this is set up, I don't hear anything on this end.
Right. That's funny. That's funny. It's loud and clear here.
But see, I want to use some of those special effects on my videos when I do some narration. You know, if I do some narration over it, I can do special effects.
Right.
I'm in a tunnel, or
yeah, in a tunnel. Right. Well, right on. We're going to have to get together soon. I've got to head out now. And Dan, hey, thanks for jumping on here at the end. That was fun. It was fun having you come in. And
you going to be around for the pink sock?
That's in the morning.
Yeah.
That's at 9 o'clock
Your
their
time. Yeah.
11
o'clock my time.
Later my time. Yeah. I might be. I've got to get this contract done on this job. And I think I've got to go out to San Luis Obispo and meet with the guy. And then I got a bunch of other stuff I'm bidding on. But I want to be. I'd like to if I'm. I'll find out when this guy in San Luis. It's a housing authority job, building a bunch of stairways and an apartment building, replacing some bad ones. It's kind of a big job because they're all made out of structural steel with the concrete steps on them and stuff like that. And then new walls going all up and around. It's actually it's a big job for 3 stairways, to be honest with you. And so I need to get that thing nailed down. See if he's available in the morning. I'll run out there and meet him, and try to get the contract finalized.
Hey, shouldn't you be getting close to? Shouldn't you be getting close to retirement?
I should be retired, but no, I'm probably going to have to work for work long enough to finish remodeling my house and sell it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, because I like doing nothing now. It's a good feeling.
No, I know. I would look forward to doing nothing, I think,
Well, but nothing, but doing what you want to do when you do it, when you want to do it.
And we may leave California for the first time. And, my wife was born in California. I've been here since 71. We may wind up in Florida or someplace. I'm not sure yet. Her sister lives in Texas. We went and visited her sadly, my nephew, her son died. We went back there and saw her.
Where in Texas?
Let's see. It's near Houston. It's a little town though. Let's see. Where does
Conroe or?
I think it might be Conroe. Yeah, there's a Conroe Lake, right?
Yeah, Conroe. Yeah.
Yeah, she was buying a house on a lake there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't move to Houston or that area.
Yeah. No, she's in a suburb,
Yeah, still. The weather down there, the humidity gets so thick down there.
Does it? Okay.
Bad. Same thing. Florida would be a good place to go. Now I see why people go to Florida.
Yeah.
Definitely more comfortable there. North Texas, where I live, it's fine until the wintertime. We have some cold winters. It's been cold the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's
we're kind of spoiled here. I mean, we're 11 miles from the ocean as the crow flies. And we're up in the hills, and it's rolling hills covered with oak trees. It used to be a cattle ranch, and then they split it up, sold off small acreage. People built custom homes on them. And I've been up here since I bought this lot in 81, built the house 83, 84, weekends and evenings, working full time. And I've been up here ever since, and I'll miss it. All my pets are buried here. My dog's the one that recently died. I get sentimental about that kind of stuff too. And just having been here so long, raised my children here. My oldest daughter was, I think, 6 when we moved here. The year before we moved here, I bought her a pony, and we were keeping it at a friend of mine's house over there. It had 8 acres. And then the twins had their first birthday living here, and they're in their mid to late 30s now.
Yeah.
So we've just been here for a long damn time. And I actually thought they would bury me here. And I don't know, who knows? They may. You never know when that's going to happen. But yeah. So anyway, guys, I just want to thank everybody for coming. Mr. Bizarro, Great subject, Royce. Thank you. Thank you for participating. I didn't realize you were a drummer too. Denise and Caitlin and Gloria and Linda
Bill
were here
Kay.
earlier, and so many people showed up. Bill Kay and Adam D popped in, and like I said already, Denise, and then Dan pops in, and it was great. It was great seeing so many people. I think things are picking up a little now. I think there was kind of a lull. I noticed even on some of the other shows, I'll go to them, and I went to 2 shows yesterday, and I was watching, and there was only 8 of us in the chat, and I went to another show, and there was like 7 people watching it and stuff like that. And it just seems like, I don't know, I don't do some kind of transitional thing going on right now. People are trying to figure out what they want to do with their time.
Yeah.
I thought moving to Sunday might be a smart move because it's Friday and Saturday, people going back to the places they used to like to go do the things they like to do on Friday and Saturday, the restaurants and clubs.
Yeah.
We have places like that here. And yeah, Betty and I used to go down there, and Friday or Saturday night, if you spent a few hours down there, everybody you knew would walk in before the night was over, to have a drink.
Yeah,
But,
things have definitely changed out there. Last night when I was
it
at the show,
definitely changed. Yeah.
there's probably must have been 3,000-4,000 people there, and I saw 3 people with masks.
Right. No, it's changing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't go out like I used to and stuff like that.
No,
Very
neither
rarely.
do I.
Maybe to grab a bite to eat, might have one drink while I'm there. Might have, not always, But anyway, we'll see. We'll hang with the Sundays for a while and go from there. I think the evenings are probably better than the mornings, but I could be wrong. I think Pink Socks on in the morning. I think he does pretty good. Have to pay more attention. I'm always trying to watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 'cause at different times of day, I think you're going to get different audiences too. Depends
Different
on
audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, my friend, I'm gonna sign off. Dan, thanks for popping in. I really appreciate it.
All right, no problem, man. Enjoyed it.
I want to once again thank everybody in the chat and Mr. Bizarro for coming in. And of course, Lou Mars. Lou Mars is a ball to have on. He's a great guy,
Yeah.
and he's got a lot of There's a lot of history there too with the music industry. Got a book out now, and he's played with so many people. He played at the Whiskey a Go-Go. He played at the Roxy on Sunset Strip, and was in a reality show drumming, and won some drum contests where you had to see who could play how many days straight. He played like 5 days and 4 nights straight. The second time he did, he broke his wrist on the second day and played for the next 3 days with a broken wrist.
Damn.
I know. I'm telling you, on the drums. Are you kidding me? But anyway, so yeah, he's a lot of fun. I enjoy having him on, and we'll have him on some more too. Anyway, guys, I want to thank everybody. I really appreciate everybody that showed up. Dan, appreciate you. All righty, we're going to end the broadcast. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.